Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
What's up, everybody? You're tuning in to the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here. It is Monday. Wednesday. Holy cow. But I meant to say it's the first day of fall. Isn't that what you said yesterday, Fish? First day of fall. Fall is my favorite season, and it is here. Fall, you get to wear the best fashion, too. Jean jackets, corduroy pants, all my fave things. But anyway, welcome, boys. Happy Wednesday. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Feeling
Yeffy,
good?
how are you doing, buddy?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah?
A little tired, but you know what? I'm ready for today.
All right.
All right. Well, Dan Campbell was asked a question that he did not like. And it was about the same old Lions mentality. And his response was, I don't want to see that crap. I hate seeing it, and I hate hearing it too. So, Adam, tell me what needs to happen in order for Lions fans to stop this type of mentality that Dan Campbell hates?
Let's start with Dan Campbell before we go to Lions fans. For Dan Campbell, of course he's sick of it. That's all he's going to hear, especially for the first 2 years, because the roster, do you really think it's going to be overhauled in 2 years? Probably not. So you're going to hear the same old Lions, especially when they're up and then they throw away the lead. Granted, it's only a 3-point lead on the road against a much better team. But regardless, this is just the state that the Lions fan base is in. So I don't blame him for getting frustrated with it. But this is something he's going to have to accept until he changes the narrative. That is the narrative until him, Brad Holmes, and that football team change it. The same thing with Stafford. Stafford's narrative is he can't beat the good teams. He makes late turnovers in important games. And he's not a big-time player. Well, I can't help that narrative unless he helps it for himself. Same applies here with Dan Campbell. Now, what is it going to take for Lions fans to get over this? Well, you're going to start with a division title, ideally. Back-to-back double-digit win season, something they've never done. You can start with a playoff win. And you can start making respectable moves in the offseason, like Brad Holmes has done, and start making bold decisions, like in Atlanta, like a Seattle, like a Los Angeles. You gotta be out there. You can no longer just be the team in the NFL that's pushed aside, pushed over, laughed at, mocked. If you're trying to get past all of this, the way you do it is by building a good football team, contending, and not going 11-5 one year and 6-10 the next year. It's 11-5, 10-6, 12-4. Consistency. Always being in the conversation of winning your division. That is something the Lions have never had for the longest time. And that's what, in my opinion, it'll take for them to get over this mentality of same old Lions. It's more of a fan-driven narrative than anything, really. If you think about the last 20 years, since 2000, Lions have been awful. But you look at the 40 prior to that, it doesn't get any better either. There are highlights, there are moments, but the only way you overcome such a narrative is to win the biggest prize in your division. Let's start there, which is the division title. And then you win a playoff game. And then you contend for X amount of years, over a sustained amount of time. You're competing for your division. You're considered one of the teams that are on the Super Bowl bubble, maybe. That is how you change the narrative. And until you do that, you will always be the Detroit Lions. You will always be the same old Lions until that is changed. And I don't expect that to change in the next 3 years. This is a 6, 7, 8-year process where the next 2 years are building your roster. The third is asserting yourself in the conference, especially in your division. And then you start to show some consistency where you're winning year to year. You're improving. You're adding pieces. You're trying to make a run for it. You want to be mentioned like a Baltimore Ravens is good. A Buffalo Bills, teams that are like on the Super Bowl bubble. They haven't made a Super Bowl appearance in a while, but they're getting really close. The roster's good. They're considered division contenders, even though their division is difficult. That's where you want to be. Jeff?
No, you hit it right on the head. I like how transparent Dan Campbell is, especially when he's talking to the media. If he wants to eliminate this stigma with the Detroit Lions, it starts with consistency. Consistency with winning, and obviously it's tough because you can't judge Dan Campbell right now with this roster. It's kind of the Jeff Blashill argument when with the Red Wings. You're judging a guy when his roster isn't there yet. So it says something about the culture he's trying to develop. He wants to eliminate that old saying, the something that he can't escape. But it goes back to what Dan Campbell is. He's a no-nonsense coach. He's a leader amongst men. Will he work out? We don't know. None of us truly know because we can't measure him with this roster. You need to put a good roster around him and see what happens then. But to eliminate the stigma, it starts with what Adam said, winning the division. That's something that the Lions haven't done in a very long time. Do it. Win the division. The next would be winning a playoff game. But let's just start by winning the division in consistently competing in the division, because that's going to eliminate the stigma. The 9-7, 9-7, or 7-9. That's the stigma.
But that's mediocre. See, this is the problem. We accepted. Well, not we. You accepted 9-7 under Jim Caldwell because it was better than what you had prior. Have some expectations. Have some self-respect. Have some pride a little bit, please. 9-7 is not good enough, considering 8 of them were fourth quarter comebacks. That is not winning football. It's not football you can sustain over year to year. You can't win that way in the NFL. The only way you can win in the NFL on a consistent basis is to have your front office in check, your head coach check, your quarterback check. Mm-hmm. You give me those 3 pieces alone, and I'll figure out the rest. I don't need Randy Moss. I don't need Julio Jones. I'll figure it out. Just give me those 3, and I can figure it out, and I can win over 10, 14 years. I can build something. You just got to nail 3 of them. Right now, I am willing to say we nailed the front office, although it's early. We'll see the decisions they make throughout the season. They have the trade deadline. Obviously, you guys know how I feel about certain players and certain moves, but moving forward, Dan Campbell, it's year 1. I'm not going to judge him. I'm not going to judge him year 2. I'm not going to judge this man until year 3 when he's had an appropriate amount of time to develop the roster and get help from the front office and Brad Holmes to bring in pieces. We all know the defense is bad. So how can we sit up here and to answer Steve's question, how do you feel about people calling for his job after 2 games? I don't think anybody is calling for his job. I really don't. I think that's a bunch of BS. That's just surfacing around Twitter. People are being dramatic because they can just type away on their keyboard and suffer no consequences. Nobody's calling for Dan Campbell's job. Nobody should be calling for it, even if he goes 0-17. The roster, the team, is really bad. It's really bad. Now, if this guy's going out there making the same mistakes that he's made week 1, week 2, and week 16, 17, well, then I'm going to have to judge him a little sooner, probably year 2 instead of year 3, but I'm going to give him time. Jared Goff, in my mind, he's a bridge. He's done after 2 years. To those who think he's going to be an MVP quarterback and a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Detroit, haha. That's funny. That's actually very funny. You should be a stand-up comedian. But regardless, this same old Lions mentality, don't let it bother you. Don't let it eat you up. The only way it'll continue is if Dan Campbell flakes out and he burns out. And somehow, in some mythical world, Jared Goff is your quarterback after 2 years, and Brad Holmes doesn't pan out to be the GM you expected, or he's shown that he can be so far. So there's ways to get over it. The only way to get over the same old Lions mentality is 10 years of consistent football. And I'm not saying you need to have a 10-win record every single year. You can have 2, 3, 4 down years, but you need to have more winning seasons than losing seasons over 10 years. And if you can do that, you, in my opinion, would be considered a stable franchise, a good football organization, a team that is around that, bubble of their division contenders. Are they Super Bowl contenders? We're not sure. I can't give you all that information considering what the team is now. But if I was building a football team, I would get my front office in check, my head coach, and I would get my quarterback. And then I'll figure out the rest there. Because I promise you, it's much, 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 much easier to figure out the rest of the roster than to figure out the head coach, the GM, and the quarterback. Give me those 3. I can guarantee you winning football over the next 10 years. Easily. Lions don't have that right now. 2 are unproven. 1 is definitely out the door in 2 years. So we'll see. We'll have to wait and see what Dan Campbell does. We'll have to wait. Well, not what he does, but how he develops as a head coach. We'll have to wait and see how Brad Holmes reacts to, players not performing up to expectations. This is now Brad Holmes' first job or his first experience now where he's responsible not only for selecting the player or scouting the player, but now he's responsible to evaluate and say, this guy isn't going to make the roster this year. We messed up on that pick. Or we nailed this pick, we messed up here. Let's address in the draft, free agency, whatever it may be. This is a process. You're not going to get over same old Lions mentality in the next 2, 3, 4 years. It's going to take 5, 6, 7, 8 years before you can wipe away with it. And that's very, very dependent on this team actually turning into contenders. That's the only way you get over it.
And Dan might have to get used to the same old Lions mentality because they're not going to be very good this season, and we clearly see that. I think, to answer Steve's question from earlier, I think it's ridiculous if you're calling for Dan Campbell's job, especially in his first year as a head coach in a roster we understand is not very talented. The goal for Dan Campbell is to improve, at least from in-game decision-making, overall team performance, just game to game. You don't want to keep losing, by 20 points every single night. That's just, it can't happen. So as long as he shows that towards the end of the year, you see some positive things, he's more than fine. It's a quarterback and coach league, but with the Lions, that's a little different. It's quarterback coach in a lot of other pieces league. I mean, that Jared Goff and Dan Campbell's not going to win you a Super Bowl. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. So no one should be calling.
Going to win a Super Bowl in Detroit, or
I'm saying like just with Jared Goff and Dan. It's a quarterback and coach league. Can we agree on that for the most part?
For the most part, yeah.
But with this situation, it is different. Jared Goff's not that dude. You need a complete team around him, and he's not going to be here, like you said, probably in the next 2 years. So
what do you think Cleveland would prefer? I'm being so serious right now. Do you think Cleveland prefers the roster they have with Baker Mayfield as their quarterback? Or do you think they'd be willing to sacrifice 20% of that roster to have a quarterback like a Patrick Mahomes? They would sacrifice 40% of the roster. Yeah. Why? Because when you have that guy in the building,
it happens. Yeah.
You can win in a multitude of ways. And that's something you're not going to have with Jared Goff. No. He proved it with the Rams. When he had a lead, when everything was comfortable, Jared Goff was fantastic. It just so happens that he was 37-0 in Los Angeles when he held a halftime lead. Why? Because they had a run game. They had one of the best offensive lines. The defense was pretty good. He made good throws. He's a good quarterback. But everything needs to work for him to function. What happens when he gets punched in the mouth and he's down by 10, he's down by 14, he's down by 17? Oh, well, he doesn't look as great. He looks flustered. He'll drop the football at the line of scrimmage. He'll throw interceptions. I can't deal with that. I can't have a quarterback that if everything doesn't go well, we don't have a chance of winning the football game. And that's what haunts Cleveland right now, whether they want to admit it or not. Baker Mayfield isn't it, and they know it, and it drives them nuts because they have probably one of the best rosters in the NFL right now.
Yep. Baker had a chance to beat Patrick last year. It just didn't happen. So,
all right, you guys. Well, coming up next, we're going to talk some Pistons, so stick around for that. My guy Jeff will have you covered there. But before we go, we need to hear about our friends over at Northwestern Tech.
So if anybody out there, listen, I know it's tough right now, especially the job market. Everyone's hiring. But if you know anybody that is interested in Northwestern Tech, you can start out by making $70,000 a year as soon as you leave school. It's too good to be true. You start a new career in an industry that is pretty much always essential, the heating and cooling industry. You can learn more today by visiting northwesterntech.edu.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. And at Hall Financial, we treat our clients like family. And our number one priority is giving each of our clients 5-star service. Our passion for 5-star service, combined with our expertise, allows us to find the best possible solution for refinancing your home loan. We take the time to focus on both the individual and the numbers. We're going to walk you through the process and close your loan in half the time of our competition. Go to davidhallmortgage.com today.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network, featured on the Roar 93.5 FM, 99.1 FM, and 94.7 HD2. Happy to have you here. It is hump day. It is ugly outside, and I don't like it. And I also don't like what Adam's doing right now because he's always trying to mess me up, and it works. All right. So we're talking about Ben Simmons. He wants to trade out of Philadelphia. He even went as far as to tell management that he has no plans to wear an NBA uniform again until he is moved from the team. That being said, Jeff, should the Pistons consider a Ben Simmons trade?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. As much as I like Ben Simmons as a player, I mean, obviously he can't shoot the ball very well, but he does everything else very well. He can play defense. He's all defensive player. He's an extremely talented playmaker, and he's 6'10", 6'11". So at his size, to be able to do those things, if he were to be able to shoot the ball, my God, he'd be something special. But no, absolutely not. And I think more importantly, the reason why you shouldn't is he's going into his second year of a 5-year, $177 million contract. He's currently owed $33 million in salary this season. No. And number one, we don't need any playmakers. You got Cade Cunningham, who we're trying to develop into that playmaker. You got Killian Hayes, incredible passer. You got Saban Lee, who's going to be a backup point guard. There's no room for Ben Simmons. Like, what? He can't space the floor. You don't need the ball in his hands. So why is he there? It makes no sense. Other teams can have him. Other teams will be interested in him. He's a good player. I'm sure he'll get dealt, but he's got to learn to shoot the ball before he's welcome pretty much anywhere in Detroit. But it just doesn't make sense to me, and that's really all I have to say. Absolutely not.
Yeah, well, look, Ben Simmons should not be a Detroit Piston. If I was an owner of an NBA franchise and my team was considered in the Ben Simmons sweepstakes, if that's what you want to consider it, I would walk into my GM's office and tell him, I'm really considering firing you right now because you're even considering going for this bum of a player. Ben Simmons, what are we in, year 6 now?
Yeah.
Come on. He's got so much talent. But my goodness, you can't improve at the free throw line? You can't develop somewhat of a respectable jump shot? I'm not saying you need to hit 50, 60% of your jump shots. Hit 35, 38, 40%. At least make teams have to guard you so you're not a liability on the court. He doesn't play defense the way we expect him to. It's a player that has no business being in Detroit. He doesn't fit the mentality of the city, let alone the team in general. He's not a Dwayne Casey player. And I'm a huge pass on Ben Simmons. I would rather eat my own vomit than have Ben Simmons suited up in a Detroit Pistons uniform.
And people don't understand, Ben Simmons has never averaged over 17 points a game. And he's been in the league, we talk about 6 years.
He's
so
a great
no
gifted
improvement.
passer. Well, yeah, but
no, I'm saying no improvement. He hasn't formed a jump shot. It's a guy that, would I pay $33 million? I'd rather eat nails than pay him $33 million. So no, absolutely not.
He's not a player. You have Killian Hayes. You need to figure out if Killian Hayes is a bust or not. You need to figure out if Cades is going to be a star or just a number 2 in this league. You got to figure out if Sadiq Bey can develop into a number 2. You have Jeremy Grant, who, again, I don't think you keep long term, but regardless, you have a lot of players on this team. I don't see how you even make the trade work. And even if it was a friendly deal where you only have to give up 2 of your starting players, probably Killian and Jeremy, and a few picks, I wouldn't consider it either way. Why would I consider bringing in Ben Simmons? I don't want him. He's just he doesn't have a winning mentality. I'm as rough as that is to say for somebody who is in the NBA. They're a professional athlete. I'm sure he cares so much, but he doesn't care enough to improve in the offseason. That for me is the biggest strike. I'm not interested in the Ben Simmons sweepstakes. Any team that is, good luck. And I think the only team where it possibly works is Golden State, actually, because he would be surrounded by shooters. So he wouldn't necessarily have to worry about scoring. He could dribble the ball up and down the court, but again, that dynamic with Steph Curry, how does it work? I don't know. All I know is that I don't want Ben Simmons in Detroit. If I'm a GM or a head coach of any NBA franchise, I don't want Ben Simmons. And if you're the Sixers, if you think you're getting 3 first-round picks for that, my goodness, good luck. He's not worth it. And there's a reason you doubt him. And there's a reason you haven't had the ability to change him over 5 years. You've had 5 off seasons to sit him down, say, listen, Ben, you need to get your act together. If you don't, you're throwing away all your potential. You have it all. You were the LeBron James coming out of LSU. You could score in college, you could rebound, you could assist. You were comparable to LeBron James to an extent coming out of college. And look at you now. You're more known for who you date than what you do on the court. That's how I know you suck. Can't help him. Stay away from Detroit.
No, I'll never forget. I watched a Ben Simmons playoff game with the Philadelphia 76ers. I remember watching him, and I think it was a closeout game for Philadelphia, and he took a total of, I think, 6 shots the entire game, and they were down. It was a close game, and they needed Ben Simmons and Joel. Joel was trying his hardest. But to your point, he doesn't have that instinct. He doesn't have that killer instinct, if you will, whatever you call it. He just doesn't. It's MIA for Ben Simmons. He's never formed a jump shot. Offensively, he's declining over the last 3 years, and he can't stay healthy. And he makes $33 million. So there you go.
And to answer Mike's question in the chat, Adam, who's more on the hot seat, Dan Campbell or Dwayne Casey? Well, neither.
Yeah.
Neither are really on the hot seat. Dwayne Casey will win more than 25 games this year. Mm-hmm. And the roster will improve. That's good. That's where Detroit, at least the Pistons, are heading. The Lions, you don't expect them to win many games this year. So how is it fair of me to judge Dan Campbell? Now, I'm sure everyone overreacted yesterday because I said he should get fired if S.O.L isn't the starting left tackle for the remainder of the year. But we'll get to that after this. But Dan Campbell's not on the hot seat either. The only way Dan Campbell is on the hot seat is if we go through 17 games this year and he hasn't improved at all as a head coach.
Do you think
going into year 2, I want to see 6, 7, 8 wins. I want to see competitive football against the better teams. I don't want to see you lose 21-0 in the second half. I don't want to see you down, 41-17, 41-10, whatever it was, in week 1. That all needs to go next year when you revamp the roster a little bit more. You have an entire new draft class. Okay, you had a whole year to develop your talent. Okay, good. Dan, I'd like to see more wins, but I'd like to see more competitive play. And then year 3, I think, is where Dan Campbell shouldn't be on the hot seat, but you have to win 9, 10, 11 games. You just do. If 3 years isn't enough, I can't help you. That should be more than enough time. And if you're that guy, it needs to change in 3 years. 3 years is such a long time in the NFL.
And I think Dan Campbell, you're saying if he doesn't show improvement, I think that's important, but I think more importantly, year 2 is where we're going to really judge Dan Campbell, or 3, and so on and so forth. Once you start getting, guys from the draft and free agency, this year, it's impossible to judge the man. I mean, he has little to no roster with him. Jared Goff, a guy who won't be here probably for more than 2 years.
100%.
And a defense who's arguably the worst in the NFL. So,
well, it hasn't improved under him, but that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
I want to segue to Dan Campbell just for a little bit. We only have a few minutes left, but there's rumbling surfacing all over Detroit sports Twitter of people calling for his job. Now, as someone who I consider myself very upfront and abrasive on a lot of things, but firing Dan Campbell isn't one of them. It just isn't. Why? How can you judge a guy who took over probably one of the worst rosters in the NFL? This is like judging Robert Saleh year 1 in New York. Mm-hmm. No offensive line. The defense has already improved under Robert Saleh. So you can already sit there and say, wow, they've improved. They're 2 games in, they look much better on defense. And Dan Campbell, I'm not sure what to expect of him because he's the type of head coach where he surrounds himself with the X's and O's guys. And I don't know how that works. I don't see how that works in today's NFL. Go find me an example. Because last I checked, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, the head coaches in the NFL that are successful consistently, even Pete Carroll to an extent, they may not be calling the plays all the time, but they're heavily involved in the game plan, schematics, what's going on, who we're targeting, who we're going to try to, decoy this week. What are we doing this week that's going to give us an advantage over the opposing team? The Lions did a great job against Green Bay for the first 2 drives. They came out scripted. They went down and scored 2 touchdowns. They were up 17-14 at the end of half. Unexpected. And here we go. Green Bay goes in at halftime, makes adjustments, comes out, scores 21 points. The Lions can't make adjustments or fail to make them. It didn't work. Jared Goff has to come from behind now with limited weapons on the perimeter outside of TJ Hockenson. And that's what happens. This is the roster. So, no, I don't think it's fair. But I do think it's fair to point out mistakes that are made throughout the year. but nowhere near enough where he's the head coach that's on the hot seat. He just can't be. He just can't be on the hot seat after a year, let alone 2 years.
You know what's crazy? Us fans calling for him to be on the hot seat says more about the Detroit Lions culture than anything. Like the fact that.
Do you blame them?
I mean,
we just talked
disagree.
about same old Lions mentality.
I disagree.
Do you blame them?
I guess no, you don't blame them. But it's ridiculous that anyone would say that.
It's ridiculous 2 games in that anybody's calling for his job.
So I disagree with it at all. I mean, maybe I wouldn't blame him if it was like year 1 and he had, or after year 2.
This is like taking over. This is like marrying into a mother. You marry a beautiful woman. She's divorced. Hear me out, Kennedy. Wait, let me go with this. This is like marrying a nice woman who. Her and her son come from an abusive relationship with their father/husband, right? So you marry into this, and you walk up to the kid and you grab the iPad out of his hands, and he freaks out because he thinks you're going to beat the crap out of him. This is what's happening with Dan Campbell and the Lions right now. We're going to lose right now, and people are going to overreact because the team is a bad football team, and all they're used to is bad. But you need to give it a chance, and that's where we're at this morning. Kennedy, get us out of here.
I'm just going to go ahead and say I didn't like that.
Why? It's the truth.
But that's
It's a horrible truth, but
Yes.
It is the truth.
I don't like it. It's already rainy outside, and I don't like that either. But coming up next, we're going to talk about someone we do like, and that is Sewell, so stick around for that. Before we go, we need to hear about our friends over at MyBookie.
Adam, can you tell us about MyBookie?
Well, MyBookie, sorry, Kennedy, I apologize. MyBookie, guys, what more can I say? It's the NFL season. There's no better time to make any bet than at MyBookie. Bet from anywhere, anytime. Visit mybookie.com. Use code Woodward, and it's not a 50% match. No. They're matching dollar for dollar. Please, guys, take advantage of this. You put in $200, you're getting $200. You put in $400, you're getting $400. It's basically a risk-free bet. I really encourage you to sign up today using code Woodward. They'll match up every dollar you put in. I totally recommend it. And you got some UFC action this weekend. Head to MyBookie. The UFC First Blood promotion. When any fighter on the main card bleeds, you win. It's a great bet. The second you see blood, you get paid. We'll see you after the break. But before I tell you that as well, just a reminder, please, if you have a gambling problem, and please take this very seriously, call the Michigan Gambling Problem Hotline at 1-888-223-3044.
Welcome to the Call Sam Chopper Shop, where you can win a custom-built chopper while helping our veterans at the same time.
Watch as the Bad Pig Custom Team turns this bike into a one-of-a-kind classic chopper.
And when it's finished, we'll be donating the bike to Volunteers of America Michigan to raffle off in support of our vets.
A great cause to give back to those who've given so much.
Watch for Call Sam Chopper Shop episodes on our social media channels and get your raffle ticket today at callsam.com/chopper shop.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here, even though it is a gloomy hump day. Not pretty, but there is someone that has been playing very pretty recently, and that is Sewell. A fun fact about him, he has not allowed a sack while playing left tackle since week 4 of 2018 while he was still playing at Oregon. So, you guys, I want to know, is he the real deal? And will moving him from left tackle to right tackle, I mean, we've seen it already during preseason. Will it hurt his growth, Jeff?
Well, we've been discussing this for quite some time, but it all goes back to the same point. We really can only judge what our 2 eyes can see. And what my 2 eyes saw is a 20-year-old NFL player go into week 1 after switching the right tackle and playing, pretty poorly in the preseason, coming out week 1 and playing his tail off against one of the best young pass rushers in the NFL. And that impresses me. That's something you could look forward to. Going from right tackle, switching back to his natural position at left tackle, and just playing well. Going into week 2, played actually really well. Like the past 2 weeks, hasn't had really any bad moments. And overall, he's incredibly athletic, number one. He's great at run blocking. You just mentioned the sack stat. Like, the guy is a great all-around left tackle, a staple of your franchise if you're able to keep him here for that long. But Detroit Lions fans should be satisfied with this man and who they've taken 7th overall in the 2021 NFL draft, because the guy is, a lot of experts before the draft, he could be a Hall of Famer. He's got great feet, very athletic. He's a giant, 6'6", 300-something pounds. and he moves so well for how big he is. Him playing like this, how he has in Game 1 and Game 2 at left tackle, has proved these draft experts right, and honestly proved a lot of Detroit Lions fans right, because I'm sure a lot of people knew what they had and knew a guy who at left tackle could be, one of the best left tackles in the league come, next year, a couple years. Playing at right tackle, I still agree, and I still reiterate this point. It limits his potential, it limits his ceiling. Yes, can he learn the position and become a good right tackle? Yes, he can. I could also go learn something new and become pretty good at it, but something that I've always done, and in Panay's case, left tackle, something he's feel comfortable with, he's been doing most of his life, that's where he'll reach his ceiling. That is the spot. You see it in the first 2 games. Little to no practice, comes in, plays extremely well. He has a whole training camp with the right tackle and struggles at preseason. It's writing on the wall, and Detroit Lions fans should be excited for who they got. He's going to be a big piece of this offensive line because they're gonna be consistent top 10 in this league, and he's a big reason why. So I love Penn Sewell.
Okay, Penn Sewell is the real deal. You've seen it in 2 games. He's thrived when everything it shouldn't have worked out this way. It took an injury to Taylor Decker, who, keep in mind, Taylor Decker. Let's talk about Taylor Decker for a second. Taylor Decker was the 14th rated left tackle last season. 14th. All on Twitter yesterday. Adam Taylor Decker is great. He's top 10. He's top 8. He rated 14th at the end of last season. And last season was a very good season for Taylor Decker. And he was rated 14th. Penn Sewell in 2 games is rated at 12. 2 games in his rookie year compared to a 6-7 year vet who finally blossomed last year, and it looks like his ceiling is maybe 10, a top 10 tackle, and I'm saying stays at number 10. He's nowhere near a top 5. Penn Sewell's ceiling definitely is top 3, top 1. What are we doing here? Why stunt or potentially harm the potential growth of Penn Sewell and moving him to right tackle on a football team that doesn't plan on winning for the next 2 to 3 years? How does that make any sense? Somebody explain to me. I am all ears. I am very open-minded. Why would you move Penn Sewell to right tackle and stunt his potential growth? Why? Why would you do that? He's looked way better than Taylor Decker has at left tackle in his first 2 games than Taylor Decker has ever looked. And you want to sit here and tell me that Taylor Decker is this great left tackle? That's fine. He's a very good left tackle. He's very good. I'd love to keep him on the team. But he can go to left guard or he can go to right tackle. It's one of the 2. He is not playing left tackle for my franchise for the next 12 to 14 years. So get out of my face. I don't care. Penn Sewell's at left. That's it. The kid with limited technique, with limited game day experience, with limited coaching in the NFL so far, has balled out in his first 2 games, I don't know, against one of the best edge rushers in Nick Bosa and an edge rush in Green Bay that's actually very solid. And he hasn't allowed a sack in 2 games. Huh, would you figure that? What do you know? Unbelievable. Penn Sewell, you drafted him at 7 for a reason. If you drafted him to move him to right tackle, shame on you. You deserve to lose your job. You deserve to never have another GM job or a head coaching job. You drafted Penn Sewell to play him at left tackle, and it's that simple. Now, is it sooner than maybe you expected? You wanted to play him a year at right tackle? I don't care what your logic is. You were thrown a gift from the football gods, just like the Los Angeles Chargers were last year. Tyrod Taylor needed to be shanked in order for the Chargers to name Justin Herbert their starting quarterback, week 1. It took Taylor Decker going down 4 or 5 days before the first game of the season for you to move Penn Sewell back to his natural position after seeing him stink it up in the preseason against woeful talent. Please, guys, do yourselves a favor. Don't try to be smarter than everybody. You have a potential generational left tackle, and you want to throw it away because you don't want to hurt Taylor Decker's feelings. I could give a rip about Taylor Decker and his feelings. You're either playing left guard or right tackle. I'm in this game to win. And the best chance I have to win football games is moving an experienced veteran to right tackle or left guard and keeping my young prospect in the position he's most comfortable in. Because if I move Penn Sewell to right tackle, I will tell you what happens. You think Jared Goff has been under pressure the first 2 games? My goodness. Wait, I promise you in a 4-week stretch at right tackle, Penn Sewell will give up more than 4 or 5 sacks. Easily. And I promise you he'll give up less than 1 or 2 the entire year at left tackle. That's how confident and that's how much I believe in this kid. At left tackle, not at right tackle. Stop trying to be smart. Stop trying to overcomplicate things. The kid's a left tackle. That's his natural position. He's already rated better than Taylor Decker was all of last year, and you're trying to tell me on Twitter that Taylor Decker was a top 8, top 5, top 10. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. You've just never seen a good left tackle in your lifetime, so you're overreacting to it. Jeff?
Hey. I mean, you took all the words out of my mouth, Adam. I mean, I love Taylor Decker as a player. I mean, he's done great things with the Lions just last year, top 15, like you mentioned. But beforehand, we had troubles. We had discussions about Taylor Decker and what we really thought about Taylor Decker and how horrible his play was. Until last year, he played well. I just think it's you're in a tough situation, Adam, because he's a veteran and he is. I know, I understand. You got to have a conversation with him. This is why we drafted this kid at 7. And I get the argument. Yeah, you want to play your tackle at right tackle, get it more experience at other positions. No, you don't. If you take a guy 7th overall, and he's practiced all training camp at right tackle, and then comes out in preseason and craps the bed at right tackle, you move him to left, he plays exceptional. What are you doing? I mean, listen. You don't have to be very good at problem solving to solve that problem. It's simply he loves left tackle. That's where he plays. He plays the best. Figure out what's best for your team. And I think what's best for the Detroit Lions is having a conversation with Taylor Decker, honestly. Having an honest conversation with Taylor Decker. What do you want to do? Because we know what we want to do. It's Penn Sewell to left tackle.
Penn Sewell at right tackle, guys. How many more times do I have to say this? You saw it all 3 preseason games. He played the 3rd preseason game because how awful he was in the first 2. They needed to get him more reps. He is not comfortable at right. He is not translating to right tackle the way they expected. Why stunt his growth and his career by moving him to right tackle? Why? Now, you could tell me, Adam, what if it's only for this year? Well, if it's only for this year, maybe I'm willing to entertain him at right tackle for the last 6, 7 games. Let's say I give you that. You still need to make a decision on Taylor Decker either way. Penn Sewell, right now, is playing at a higher level than Taylor Decker did all of last season.
It's 2 games
just right
in.
now. It's just 2 games. Yes, Adam, it's only 2 games. But he's playing at a higher level than Taylor Decker did last year. And we're sitting up here freaking out because Taylor Decker comes back in 6 weeks, Adam, and what are you going to do with him? Come on, guys. He played all 13 games, I believe, at Ohio State his sophomore year at right tackle, Taylor Decker. Then he moved back to left. And then they moved him around in the NFL. You see how bad Taylor Decker looked in the NFL when they moved him around? And then they finally put him in his natural position. And he had a very good season. A very good few seasons. He improved. Well, Adam, now you're going to move him back to right tackle. How's that go? Well, at least he has some experience, and his technique is much more polished than a Penn Sewell. It's not that I don't trust Penn Sewell. Penn Sewell lacks technique. Why he's so successful on the left side is that he's so overwhelmingly quick, strong, powerful. And that's why he can play the left tackle position so well, because he gets off the line much quicker. He doesn't get off the line that quickly on the right side. And what do you need to overcome speed? You need technique. The only way you can overcome athleticism is technique. And he doesn't have that, especially at the right side. So why put him there? Put the polished veteran at right tackle. His value will not go down, believe me, I promise you. And it doesn't change the outcome of this team's football. They're going to lose games regardless. But it's irresponsible, in my opinion, not to have Penn Sewell at the left side. Kennedy, what do you think?
Well, I agree with you. Also, I really liked this comment in the chat that it's Alex Anzalone's birthday.
Yeah, cut him.
Yeah.
Is that what they said?
Yeah. I just thought you would like that, so I wanted to tell you.
I love it.
All right, well, coming up next, we're going to do our Would You Rather segment. You know why? Because it's Wednesday, it's hump day, and that's when we do Would You Rather Wednesday. So stick around for that, but before we go, we need to hear about our friends over at Coast.
Well, I'll do that for you. Since 1919, Coast has pursued one mission, and the mission is getting these beautiful knives and everything in our hands, because if you see D-Mac on the show, He's got all the knives. He's got all the Coast tools. And it's awesome to see. Visit coastportland.com, and you can use code WSN20 for 20% off your purchase. If you're buying for your whole crew, you simply sign up with our Coast crew, and you take advantage of their special discounts, their access to new products, and more. Again, that 20% off code is WSN20.
Opa! Introducing Papa Romano's new Greek pizza, a tasty blend of bold Greek flavors and Mediterranean toppings, including feta cheese and Greek dressing. Get a large Greek pizza for a limited time for $16.99. Order now at paparomanos.com.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here. It's Wednesday, which means we're about to do one of my favorite segments, Would You Rather Wednesday. Boys, are you ready?
Always ready. This is like one of my favorite segments we do throughout the week.
He loves it, but also hates it, because I'm sure there'll be one where he'll be like, Kennedy, why are you asking me this? But anyway, here's our first one. We'll start with Jeff today. Jeff, would you rather win the Heisman or a national championship?
Depends what team I'm on. If I'm on Alabama, I'm winning the Heisman. National championship to a school like Alabama is a walk in the park. So you know what? I'm taking the Heisman Trophy because it helps my draft stock. That's what it does.
All right. Well, this is tough, right? It kind of depends where you play. But if I'm an individual, I want the Heisman.
Right.
I want the Heisman. The Heisman player, usually the Heisman winner is a first-round pick anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm set in my future. Winning a national championship doesn't guarantee me anything. Ask A.J. McCarron. Ask a bunch of these guys. Ask
just put it in your bio.
Ask the Alabama running back that busted out of the league, drafted by the Browns, Trent Richardson. Ask him.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean everything. Although team accomplishments are amazing, it's something you'll savor with your teammates forever. I think if I'm a high-quality player, I prefer the Heisman. It's a good memory. And if I'm winning a Heisman, I'm probably competing for a national title. So, ideally. So that's my answer, Kennedy.
What about you, Fishy? Would you rather have a Heisman or a national championship? Here we go.
There we go. Probably a national championship.
See, Fish is a team player. I figured that's what you'd say.
Well, I don't want it to sound like I'm hating on my team. It's just Heisman. It just makes more sense. I've seen guys, in the NFL at least, and they'll have 2-time national championship in their bio, or they'll have rings. That's cool. But if you're not a great player, you're not going to get drafted high. So give me the Heisman. At least Fish, you'll go top 10, Fish, if you got the Heisman. And if you're really good, a Heisman, if you win that Heisman Trophy, you'll go top 3. So you know what? I'm taking that. All right, I'm selfish. I'm sorry, but I want more money, so draft me higher.
I mean, you could end up like my boy Tim Tebow, but it's fine.
Well, yeah, then not.
Who's now a commentator on
both,
ESPN.
to be fair to him, so he won both.
Oh, so maybe both is
he won.
Knife at the
He won both, but he sucked
Ask him
in the
that
NFL.
question.
So.
What would he rather have?
Would you rather have Tim Tebow's career or some bum who made it to the NFL and was a backup for 10 years? I'd take the bum and the backup.
My God.
Wow. I shouldn't
Jeff
have even
Driscoll,
brought him up
take his
because I
career.
knew you were just
Yep,
gonna
I'd
hurt
rather
my
be Tim
feelings.
Boyle than Tim Tebow.
Oh my gosh.
Tim
Okay,
Boyle.
moving on. Would you rather draft the worst quarterback prospect or a kicker in the first round?
Ooh, I'll take the kicker in the first round. At least it gives me points. I wouldn't take the worst quarterback prospect in the first round. I'd lose my job at least if I took him in the first round.
Yep.
I could go to my owner and be like, hey, man, listen, this kid is not going to miss a field goal his first 10 years. Trust me. I could somewhat make a reason out of it. If I passed on Trevor Lawrence and all these guys and I took Kellen Mond at number 1, I'd probably get fired that day. So I'll avoid it.
You might be able to argue hey, I just took the next Justin Tucker, the next Pat McAfee. I mean, with the quarterback, I mean, listen, man, if I'm taking Dwayne Haskins, I'm getting fired. So I'll go with the kicker. I feel like at least then it'd benefit your team because you wouldn't have an awful quarterback. You'd have an awesome kicker, just overdrafted. That's really it.
All right, I can deal with that. All right, would you rather currently be the Lions defensive coordinator or wide receivers coach?
Wide receivers coach, because that defense, I think the wide receiver coach would be better because at least you could be talk some sense into some guys, get Amon-Ra, you can give him some advice. They're a young group, guys that aren't as proven, but especially with this defense, Yeah, a lot of work to do, and,
Right.
and I'm a guy that I don't like making miracles. Can't
Yeah.
make that.
Well,
miracle
you're a
happen.
horrible person, and I'll tell you why. If I had the opportunity, I would take the defensive coordinator position.
Good luck.
I'll tell you why. It's not about good luck. If I believe in myself as a coach, I am 100% confident I can develop these players in 2-3 years. Which means if I turn the Lions somehow into a top 18, top 12 defense in my tenure, I'm getting a head coaching job somewhere else. I am 100% getting a head coaching
there's
job.
a risk in everything, right? So if it doesn't work out like Aaron Glenn looks right now,
Well,
then
that's fine.
how
But
do
you know
look?
what? The great coaches, they always work out as coordinators and they go on and get
It's
the jobs.
tough when you don't have any talent, though.
Hey,
it's very
I'll
tough.
teach them how to do at least the fundamentals.
You better teach
we
them
won't
how
make
to-
mistakes. We won't have defensive holdings. We won't have defensive pass interference. We won't line up offsides on a field goal and cost my team the game. Those are things that I can at least account for and hold myself and my team accountable for. I would rather do that. It's more to prove. It's a more difficult job, and I am all for taking the more challenging job. Kennedy?
I like it. I mean, either way, right now, you'd be a legend. You know what I mean? So, Jeff, now tell me, as a Michigan fan, are you even a Michigan fan? I guess I don't really know.
I'm not. I mean, I just watch Michigan and Michigan State football. I'm not a fan of either one, to be honest.
Gotcha.
I get paid to talk about them. That's what I do. So
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a Michigan fan, would you rather lose to Ohio State?
okay.
It's hypothetical now that I know you're not really a Michigan fan. Would you rather lose to Ohio State but win the Big Ten championship, or beat Ohio State but it makes MSU the Big Ten champs and they return to the college football playoff again?
You know what? We'll take the L at Ohio State, win the Big Ten, because at least then, man, if you beat Ohio State, yeah, we already know Ohio State's very, very bad with C.J. Stroud. So if you beat them, what would you do? And Michigan State wins the Big. No. You gotta. You can lose to Ohio State, pull some excuse out of your behind, but if you win the Big Ten, that's what I'm a fan of, and that's what I'm rooting for. So I'd rather take that every day of the week. I'm sure Adam would say the same thing. Because think about it. Adam, let me ask you now that you're back up here. If you're Michigan, all right, you taking the L to Ohio State, but winning the Big Ten.
What's the question again? I'm sorry.
Reread it for him because I want to hear
Please,
your answer.
Kennedy.
I got you. Don't worry.
What's the question here?
As a Michigan fan,
all right.
which you are, correct?
Yeah, I support Michigan in general, just in all sports. So
Okay.
I support State, Michigan. I didn't graduate college, so F them both. I don't have an alumni tied to either, so I can just support both and root against both if I want to.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, but so we're saying in this scenario you are a Michigan fan.
Okay.
So as a Michigan fan, would you rather lose to Ohio State but win the Big Ten championship, or beat Ohio State but it makes MSU Big Ten champs and they return to the college football playoff again?
I would rather lose to Ohio State and go to and win the Big Ten championship, because if I win the Big Ten championship, that likely means I'm bidding for the college football playoff. I'll take
Right.
the L to Ohio State. I'm not too worried about it. I don't know, but I guess if you're a Michigan fan, you haven't beaten Ohio State in God knows how many years, so maybe you're willing to accept it. I don't know. This could be the year for Michigan, though. I have to say, this could be the year.
It's funny because the chat is like a lot of Michigan fans are like, just beat Ohio State. We'll lose every other game but that. I'm like, dang, they really got you. They really got you. The fact that you'd rather just beat them and lose in the Big Ten. Listen, you go after the Big Ten, like Adam just said. It gives you an opportunity to go farther. So yeah,
I think what would be funny though is, would you rather Michigan never win a national title and the Lions win a Super Bowl, or vice versa?
Lions Super Bowl, baby.
What was the first one? It was Lions.
Michigan will never, ever win another national title ever in their history.
Yeah, I'm taking Lions. I don't. But you're asking the wrong
Dude, we
guy.
are hungry for a Lions
You're
Super
asking
Bowl.
the wrong guy.
I love that.
If you ask a Michigan
That's great.
alumni, he'd probably be like, "Oh, I don't
That's
know
great.
about that one.
That's
Lions
great.
already suck." But
Yeah, no. Well,
Lions fans.
don't have a Super Bowl either, so
Right.
I don't blame you guys. All right, one last one, Kennedy. I'm gonna ask you two actually.
Uh-oh.
Would you rather be Dan Campbell? Hear me out.
Okay.
Dan Campbell or Matt Patricia right now? I'm asking seriously.
would I rather be Dan Campbell or Matt Patricia?
Yeah. Which one would you rather be?
Dan Campbell.
You'd rather be the head coach of an awful team or the assistant somewhere else where you're not
character matters. Character matters, and you know it too.
I know. I'm taking Dan Campbell. I'd rather be in somewhat in shape than fat.
I was just going to say that. I was like, physically, I
was
also
going for
want
the
to be.
fat.
So you prefer the Snickers. You prefer the Snickers, and you prefer being.
No.
You just said I'll take the harder job, and then I thought you were going to argue Matt Patricia. I'm like, he has an easier job.
Oh God, no. I'd rather be Dan Campbell.
Okay, yeah.
No. Rather be Dan Campbell.
If you turn around that franchise,
well, not even because the job. I'd rather not be obese. I mean, that's a start.
There
we start there. Like, I'd rather not die of diabetes at like 55. I kind of want to see my grandkids.
Well, and two, I think Dan Campbell still has something to prove, whereas Matt Patricia has kind of been exposed for everything that he's not.
Yeah, fat and dumb and can't coach.
Well, because he was like, I'm
especially
this
fat.
Defensive guru, and then he like sucked when he wasn't
you know
with the Patriots.
the biggest tale, the biggest. If you ever want to figure out if somebody is a fraud, when they have to tell you something like, I'm responsible for one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history,
right.
Not only is that a lie, but that tells you everything you need to know about the person. If you need to walk around and flaunt your numbers and what you've accomplished, that means you actually weren't responsible for those accomplishments, in my opinion. I think there's a better way to handle that.
Right.
And let's keep in mind, Mr. Matt Patricia, I own the greatest play to happen in Super Bowl history. Well, buddy, if you recall, the set, you sent the wrong unit out there originally, and it took one of your assistants to scream, Malcolm, on the sideline for Malcolm Butler to go out there. He switches because I believe a player was hurt, and he wasn't accounted for. He only had 10 men on the field at the time.
My God.
He runs out there, and it just so happens that Malcolm Butler, not Matt Patricia, recognized that it was a pick cut route or a pick in route, whatever they call it. And he knew it, and he jumped it. He took the chance. And when you take chances in life, sometimes you're rewarded, sometimes you're not. Malcolm Butler in that situation was rewarded, not Matt Patricia. That was not your play, dude. But regardless, that's just called an egotistic, and not only egotistic, it's somebody who is self-conscious. They're not very high on themselves. So when you're obese and your opinions suck and you really don't know what you're doing, but you kind of take credit for everything, it's tough to stay in this business for a long time. But regardless, Kennedy, we got to go to break. What's next?
You know, Matt Patricia is the only person that I will let it slide when you talk about them like that, because I really dislike that guy. Coming up next, though, something I do like, college football. We're going to talk about it when we come back. But first, we've got to hear about our friends over at Papa Romano's, Jeff.
Listen, speaking of overweight people, Papa Romano's has delicious pizza that Matt Patricia needs to check out, because Papa Romano's handcraft pizzas that have made them a Detroit favorite for over 50 years, 50 years. House-made dough, hand-cut veggies, and fresh cheese really make the difference. And the same quality goes on to other pizzas, salads, subs, and pitas. Order now at paparomanos.com.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10.5 months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
a graduate
of Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into Woodward Sports on the... Wow. It happens like once a week now. It doesn't happen every day. Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. You know what? Today's not my day for words, clearly. But we are going into our segment called Contenders or Pretenders Big Ten Edition. So, boys... Adam, do you want to kind of explain this one to them?
Yeah, so this is something we're going to be doing throughout the season, not only in college football, but in the NFL. We're going to discuss teams we believe are either A, contenders, B, pretenders. These are teams that, you may be on the fence with. Do you think, for example, just to give a quick metaphor, do you think the Denver Broncos are actually contenders in the AFC West? If you believe so, cool. Say it, explain why. So that's what me and Jeff will be doing today. But today's edition is actually college football, and it heavily revolves around the Big Ten, right, Kennedy?
Yes, sir. So do you want to start with Michigan?
Ooh, all right. I'll start with Michigan. I believe Michigan are, unfortunately, pretenders. I don't think they can contend in the Big Ten, even against an Ohio State that is probably on their down year. I don't see Michigan winning 10, 11 games this year. I just don't. I think they're still a 9-win team with a bowl win going up to 10. They got to play Penn State. I'm not sure how they're going to win. Wisconsin coming up in a few weeks. That's a big game. I would have probably preferred to call them contenders or pretenders after that game. They've only played 3 really average teams, nothing really special. It's tough to gauge whether or not they can play against the good football teams. We'll have to wait for Wisconsin. The jury's out on Michigan. I want to see them play Wisconsin, and then I'll circle back on this. I'd like to do this again. For now, pretenders, only given their history, but it wouldn't surprise me if this was the year Michigan contended. It would not surprise me at all.
I think the argument about who they first, it's funny, I made that argument like a couple days ago, and you completely shot me down about
I didn't.
who they
you
first.
Don't listen, but that's fine. Try to throw that one in. I see it.
No, it's okay. And that's who I brought up, and I actually have Michigan as pretenders. And it's too early in the season for me to really judge if this team's a contender or not. The 3 opponents they've faced hasn't impressed me. They've done their job, absolutely destroyed all 3 of them. Western Michigan, come on, dude. Listen, more so deeper into the season, I want to see how they do against Ohio State, Wisconsin, when they go at Wisconsin. There's other games I'm looking forward to really see, okay, this team can possibly contend. But as of right now and who have they beaten, they're pretenders to me. And I'm going to stick by that opinion until maybe next week versus Wisconsin. We'll see.
All right, fair enough.
All right, next up, we're going to go to Michigan State, who I've been very, very vocal about. I do not think they are pretenders. I think they're contenders this year, but I want to hear it from you, Jeff. What do you think about State?
Well, if Michigan's a pretender, Michigan State's a pretender. Just because Michigan is – listen, Michigan, I think, right now, as a football team, the defense looks great. Cade McNamara is playing great. Blake Corum, Hassan Haskins, and Donovan Edwards is a nasty trio backfield. Yes, do they miss Ronnie Bell? Extremely. It hurts their pass game, but they got Cornelius Johnson, a couple other guys stepping up. If Michigan State is as impressive as they're playing, 3-0, they've beaten good teams, at least better teams than Michigan, but no, I still think they're pretenders. Can they go up against other opponents that are very talented in this Big Ten? I don't know. We have yet to see. As of right now, as much as I love the job Mel Tucker's doing, he's doing a fantastic job. Give him a year, maybe or 2, he'll be a contender. But right now, it's a pretender.
Okay, so I got to recategorize Michigan and Michigan State right now because the more I'm talking to myself in my head, the more Michigan are contenders. Michigan are contenders, and Michigan State aren't, and there's a big reason why. Michigan State aren't contenders because I don't believe they have a good enough offensive or defensive line that'll help them put up enough points and keep teams from putting up points on them throughout the season, especially heading into the Big Ten schedule. I do think, I'm not saying Michigan State's overrated. I'm going to lean more on Michigan actually being legitimate this year than Mel Tucker year 2 into his rebuild. Great start, but you still got 9 more games to go. We'll have to wait and see. They've played Youngstown State. They opened up against Northwestern, I believe.
Yep.
And then Miami. Northwestern looks like probably the worst team in the Big Ten right now. Miami, good win, but that doesn't... We'll see. For me, right now, Michigan are closer to being contenders than Michigan State are, in my opinion. I think their offensive and defensive line are way better than Michigan State's. Michigan has one of the best, if not the best, run game in college football right now. Their interior play is unbelievable. I got to side with that over State. So I'm going to say Michigan State pretenders for now. I think they're contenders year 4 of Mel Tucker, not year 3. Next year, they're probably a 7-8 win team that loses close to the Big Ten teams. And then the 4th year is when they take that next step, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan's definitely closer in terms of being a contender than Michigan State. I think the fact that we're even discussing them in the same world is unbelievable for Mel Tucker, because Michigan, the pressure that Jim Harbaugh is, especially the decrease in his contract, just the amount of pressure he's under this year, I think they should be contenders, but just who they've beaten. Yes, good teams beat bad teams. I do agree with that. They absolutely whooped all 3 of the opponents: Northern Illinois, Western Michigan. I get all that, but at the end of the day, haven't seen them beat a good opponent. Same with Michigan State, but I got to wait a couple weeks before you could really say, okay, Michigan's a contender. They're absolutely destroying teams, but as of right now, they're both pretenders. But Michigan, very close to being a contender. I'm not mad if you say they are. Absolutely not. But
all right. Hoping you guys aren't going to hurt my feelings with this one, but Ohio State Adam, what do you think?
All right, I'm just going to hurt your feelings now. Ohio State are pretenders. They are not contenders, especially. They're contenders in the
Big Ten?
They're for the Big Ten. Okay. They're contenders, but they're not contenders nationally. For sure. Them and Notre Dame can suck one. They are definitely not contenders. They can kick rocks. Not interested in talking about Ohio State or Notre Dame. Ohio State might not even win the Big Ten this year. I still think they have 2 more losses on their schedule. Mm-hmm. Penn State, Michigan potentially. We'll see. I think this team is going to lose way more games than people expect this year. Not interested in Ohio State. They're not contenders at all. They can get middle fingers from me all day. Jeff.
Ohio State, in terms of the Big Ten, of course they're contenders, but no, they're pretenders. And you've seen it against Oregon. They've shown they can be vulnerable, they can be beaten. And I think if you have a good defense, a good pass rush, and you got a quarterback who can make plays for you in the backfield like Michigan, they've shown they can be beat. So I got Ohio State as pretenders. I think this year, last year with Justin Fields, they looked great, but this year with C.J. Stroud as a freshman, I'm gonna go pretenders. I'm confident with that.
All right, just keep hurting me. It's fine. But also, okay, here's my question to you boys: for Notre Dame and Ohio State, what is it gonna take for you guys to take them seriously? Does Notre Dame have to beat Wisconsin, and then you'll take them seriously? What is it, Jeff?
More so dominating, winning by more points by the opponents, completely smothering opponents. Their first 2 wins, they barely snuck out.
No,
and they just need to face, like you said, better opponents, I think, just to prove something. Because Notre Dame, obviously their schedule, me and Adam talked about before, is a little suspect sometimes. But if they can just get some good wins on their book and they look good in the process, I don't see how you can't, but as of right now, they're pretenders, if you want to ask me.
Okay, fine. All right, we'll move on to Iowa then. Jeff, how do you feel about them?
I think they're contenders. Iowa has looked great. Their 2 wins, they just beat an Iowa State. I think, truthfully, what are they ranked? They're up amongst the top of the Big Ten. I have them as contenders. I'm confident in that one.
Okay, Iowa I'm going to label as contenders as well. To win away in Iowa State early on in the year was a huge statement. They didn't just win. They dominated Iowa State. Iowa State's a good football team. So Iowa this year, I think, are probably your favorites to win the Big Ten outside of Ohio State, if you want to look at it from a big picture perspective. But the next team we talk about, I think, has just as good of a shot, considering I've seen them be competitive under their head coach before. I'm curious to see how Iowa develops throughout the year. But, yes, I do think they're contenders.
All right, Adam, then we're going to move right along to Penn State. What are you thinking about them?
Penn State contenders. I like what Franklin has done during his time there. They had a down season last year, similar to Michigan. They come out of the gates firing. We'll see what they look like during their Big Ten schedule. But, again, I think Penn State are legitimate this year. They're going to have to win some tough games. They're on the road to some really good teams in the Big Ten this year. They've got a very difficult schedule. But I will say, their type of football travels. And for me, that's why Michigan and Iowa, Michigan State to an extent, these are teams I think that can really surprise a lot of people this year. Obviously, I have Michigan and Michigan State starting 5-0. With Penn State, I did expect them to rebound. I had them winning 9 games this year, but maybe 9 might be a little too much given their schedule. But I will say I do think they're contenders in the Big Ten this year.
What I've seen so far with Penn State, they're absolutely contenders. They beat Wisconsin, they beat Auburn, they beat 2 ranked opponents in their 3-game schedule so far. If you're taking the sample size we've all seen, yes, Penn State's contenders. They've beaten better opponents than other guys in this Big Ten. They've beaten ranked opponents, something some teams haven't done. So Penn State, they're contenders.
All right.
Speaking of, the next team we're talking about is Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. I'd like to make a very out there scenario for people. So for the sake of Notre Dame, because I hate Notre Dame and Ohio State, but I'm going to throw you this bone, Kennedy, because I know you're a big supporter. Notre Dame, if they beat Wisconsin, will not make a Big Ten, or not a Big Ten, but they won't make a college football appearance unless Wisconsin goes and beats a Michigan State, Ohio State, because that's going to be their marquee win this year, basically. And how do you feel about Notre Dame? They're in a really bad position. They suck right now, in my opinion.
They do.
Great.
They're somehow pulling out these games by some miracle because, when did they play? Saturday? They looked allergic to scoring. their offense, and then the week before it was their defense. But like outside of Kyle Hamilton, they just looked god awful. And then the defense, it's like, can we play together? Can we pick a game where the offense and the defense are both not going to suck? It's always one or the other with them, and it's very confusing. And I'm not understanding why. So I'm hoping, since they're playing Wisconsin, probably the best team that they've seen thus far, they're going to pull it together, and both the defense and the offense are going to play well and not just key players there. But, yeah, what you're saying is they're going to – if they beat Wisconsin, I need Wisconsin to also go ahead.
Exactly. If Notre Dame has any shot, they need to basically win out. It's not going to happen. So, moving on.
If Wisconsin has to beat Ohio State for Notre Dame to look good, so be it.
Fair enough. Moving on to Wisconsin, Jeff, contender or pretender?
Well, they lost to a good team in Penn State the first game of the season, and they blew out Eastern Michigan. Haven't seen a whole lot. I think their next two games are very important. You beat Notre Dame and you go against Michigan. You play a tough game. We have a different conversation. But as of right now, with these two wins, I don't know. I don't know how I'm feeling. This one could go either way for me. I like Wisconsin. I like Graham Mertz, but at the same time, I got to be realistic, and I think I'll say pretenders. I'll say pretenders as of right now. They already have a one loss on their record. If they pretty much have to just straight out get some W's to really contend straight out, and they got Notre Dame and Michigan the next 2 weeks. So I'll go pretender.
Yeah, pretender for me. Not interested in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I have nothing to say about Wisconsin. I don't think this is their year. I think they're rejuvenating their program. That's great. This is a Wisconsin that's won 3 Big Ten titles over the last 12, 14 years. So they have been relevant. They have been contenders before, although I just don't think this is the year, Kennedy.
Okay, fine with me. Hopefully Notre Dame can pull out a win then if we're calling them pretenders, because that'll be embarrassing for me. But it's fine. We're fine here. All right, coming up, we're going to talk more about Dan Campbell, and I hope you guys are strapped in if you're in the car, because I have a feeling my friend Adam might go off here. So stick around for that. You're not going to want to miss it. But before we go, we've got to hear about our friends from Guardian Alarms.
I knew a guy who, on my street actually, on my old house, he got his house broken into. And I actually was just talking to him the other day, and I explained Guardian Alarm to him. And I'm sure if him or any of the people you know that have experienced a very similar situation, if you have Guardian Alarm, it changes your situation because they get it. You know, a good defense on and off the field help you feel secure. Really does. I mean, the state-of-the-art technology that helps you feel safe, all with 24/7 local monitoring. Guardian Alarm has convenient features that let you check in on your home, control lights and temperatures, detect smoke or carbon monoxide. It will even let you lock and unlock doors. You call 800-STAY-OUT today. That's 800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm has been trusted for over 90 years at keeping families safe.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust-resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Woodward Sports, featured on the Roar at 93.5 FM, 99.1 FM, and 94.7 HD2. Happy to have you here on a Wednesday. It's a bummer that it's gloomy, but I think my friend Adam might brighten your guys' day a little bit, at least maybe give you a chuckle here. So let's hear what you have to say about Dan Campbell. What early takeaways do you have from him as the Lions head coach, Adam?
So far, he's very vocal. The culture change, I guess, is good, although they're still losing games, but that's what you expect, so nothing really to judge there. I just question Dan Campbell as a head coach. I just do. And this isn't me saying he needs to be fired this year, next year, or even the third year. I am just going to point out things that I'm not seeing from successful head coaches around the league. Now, Dan Campbell, he's a jokester. You know, maybe I'm looking too much into this, but, you know, there's a picture of Dan Campbell that's been circling that just drives me nuts. That just drives me nuts because I try to, see past it, and I try not to look at it, but it's there, and it's always there with Dan Campbell. First, it was the venti. It was the coffee. It was the mantra. It was the kneecaps. And now it's I don't even know what the heck he's doing. Could you pull it up? Like, go find me a head coach that you take seriously in the NFL that acts like this. I'm sorry. I really am. Like, I want to support this guy. I like him so much. He is such a good dude. He's such a good dude, has such a positive message. But my goodness, that's my head coach? You gotta be kidding me. I went from obese to that? God, I want to support this guy, and I really want him to, like, prove everybody wrong and be successful. But my goodness, go find me a head coach that has the nerve to sit up there and just act like this, like a child. I believe 100% in my heart that he's probably the hardest worker in the building. He's super dedicated to this project. He takes his job very seriously. I'm not questioning any of that. But what is this? Why do we have to see this? Why do we have to deal with these type of antics? I want a head coach that can just win football games. And again, I'm not expecting him to win any this year or next year. I expect improvements. I expect year 3 for him to take that next step and win football games. And if he doesn't, then we can have the conversation of if he should go or not. But that's your head coach. Can you pull it up again? That's your head coach.
Yes.
That's the representation of the Detroit Lions every NFL Sunday. Every single day, that is your head coach. Are you kidding me? That's the representation of your franchise. And again, Dan Campbell, I hope to God, turns out to be everything and more. But my goodness, just look around, look at yourself in the mirror a little bit and ask yourself, is Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Bill Belichick, Doug McDermott, are any of these, Andy Reid, John Harbaugh? Go find me the head coaches that are acting this way. Again, he was poking fun at a journalist, cool. But you're the head coach, essentially almost the CEO of this franchise, a franchise that's done nothing but lose for 60 years. And I told you, the only way to change that same old Lions narrative is to build a consistent winning football foundation for 8 to 10 years. But you also have to play and act the part.
Yeah.
You need to be responsible, gutsy. He's shown the gutsy early on. He's been very vocal. Talk about him against Venti, biting off kneecaps. Now we're putting up our eyes, making fun at the journalist. Okay, I don't see any team that's actually taking themselves serious do that. Please, somebody tell me there's another team that does it. Come on.
This is. I think you're crying about spilled milk.
I'm not crying here.
I think you're crying about spilled milk. This is the most like.
I am not. I am actually bringing up a freaking very good point that you guys can all laugh
antics.
at.
So what did name antics that Matt Patricia did? Name any antics that he did with his time with the Detroit Lions. Did he do these antics?
His
he did
BS.
He did the kneecaps.
His BS press conferences. I mean, him calling out journalists, being such a rude piece of you know what to everybody in the building.
So when you have a guy
he had different antics.
Hold on.
Regardless, go find me head coaches that are doing that. Go find me a head coach in the NFL right now that's successful, that's treating everybody around him like crap. Go find me one. It doesn't exist.
I haven't finished my point.
Your point is already wrong, but continue.
Okay. Well,
it's not,
what I was going to say is, why are we judging Dan Campbell off the antics, the cringe stuff? It makes no sense. What you should be judging him is results on the football field, not this year, at least, because the roster's not good enough. You want to see it when there's more improvement, more talent around him. Doing Venti, I mean, the only people who care about that stuff are Adam Baydoun and a couple other people. I don't care. If my coach can win football games...
I know you don't care, because you wouldn't know what a successful head coach or a successful organization would look like if it hit you in the freaking face every single day, just like you and every other Lions fan, that you're just not listening. Again, I'm not saying Dan Campbell isn't going to be a good head coach. Please understand, I am just bringing up something that really caught my eye this morning when I woke up and I was going through all of the feeds and I was trying to just understand what happened yesterday. I was asking myself, and I'm asking you at home a question now. Where is this happening anywhere else in a functional winning organization? Where? Just tell me, just give me the example so I can... Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is antics?
He's poking fun all the time. Pete Carroll's always having fun. Are you joking me? He was shirtless in the locker room with DK that one time. He does not care.
Oh my goodness! You're talking after he delivered a Super Bowl. Go look at the Legion of Boom. Go tell me during his prime years with Seattle, early years, where his antics were. Please, I mean, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Adam, Mike G brings up a good point.
All right, what is it?
He says, Adam, we have a montage of funny faces from you every day. What's the difference? You, too, are very
I am not the head coach of the Detroit
way.
Lions. I am not the head coach of the Detroit Lions.
Much the head
and
coach
antics,
of Woodward Sports
these are not
Network.
antics. These are passionate rants, or whatever you want to call them, that I'm discussing every single morning. I'm not sitting up here poking fun and trying to make excuses for anybody. I'm asking a very simple question. Where around the league, in a successful, functional, serious organization, is the head coach of a football team more known for his press conferences than his X's and O's and his football results? Where's that happening?
Well, he's had more press conferences than football games. I feel like that's unfair.
No, it's not. No. Again, I'm not judging him on wins and losses, but this is the narrative that's already being driven, guys. I'm asking a question here. I'm not accusing Dan Campbell of anything. I'm just asking a very simple question. Where around the league is the head coach of a successful, well-run organization that is competing not only for the division, but for the conference this year? Where's their head coach more known for his media antics than his coaching ability? Just tell me who.
I think that's
tell me who.
You can't, because Dan Campbell's Dan Campbell. He's
I know,
he's the
that's
only
why I'm asking the question.
He is a former player.
I'm dying for an answer.
Just talk, please.
I'm dying for an answer. You're not giving me an answer.
I got you.
All you're doing is deflecting away from my question. I'm asking a very simple question. Where around the league is a successful head coach and a successful, taken serious organization acting this way? Where? Just find it for me. You can't. Believe me, I searched all night. I didn't sleep trying to prove myself wrong yesterday.
Chuck Brewer says, finding numerous stories about Andy Reid, and he turned out okay.
Andy Reid. You're talking a guy that's been in the league for over 20 years, multiple NFC championships before he ever went to Kansas City. And yes, he's known for the cheeseburger comment. But believe me, that comment wasn't made until he won the Super Bowl. Comparing a head coach that's been to multiple Super Bowls, that's been to multiple championship games on both the NFC and AFC side, to unbelievable.
Okay, lots of people saying Urban Meyer. Let me clear something up.
Urban Meyer is
he does not
0-2.
do that.
He's a rookie head coach just like Dan Campbell. Urban Meyer is not known for his media antics. What are you guys talking about?
Dude.
Correct. He's known for letting his players come to his house and have dinner, and like he's a family man. He likes having his team around his family. There's no antics about it.
Adam is crying over spilled milk.
I've asked you the question.
No, this is he'll just start talking. This is what he does.
4 times and you haven't answered it.
I've answered it. Open your ears.
No,
I've
you
answered
just tell
it.
me spilled milk, Adam. You're crying over spilled milk.
Okay.
And then you brought up Pete Carroll, which was wrong. And you're
talking
wrong.
currently.
Urban
He asked
Meyer,
me to answer,
wrong.
but he's speaking.
Give me an answer. I'm waiting.
No, I'm done now. I've told you 4 times, and the chat is clear. They heard me. They're repeating it. So obviously, it's come out of my mouth. So the fact that you can't hear it means you're talking too much.
Of course. I know, Jeff.
It's fine. Just keep talking. Listen to yourself talk, and we'll just
I'm not
keep
listening
doing
to
that.
myself. I'm giving you an opportunity to answer my question. Nobody's answered it yet.
You're asking the wrong question.
No, I'm not. I'm
You're
asking
talking
a very
about
simple
antics
question.
at a press conference. Does that translate to the football field?
Clearly, it's not.
No, it's 2 games into it. You admit it's going to be a bad season for the Detroit Lions.
Yes.
If Dan Campbell came out and had a military attitude, if he said, "This is what we're going to do, no jokes, I'm not making a single joke," and they sucked, what would you be saying?
Nothing.
Okay, then what does it matter if he says venti coffee?
It matters. It matters because I'm looking at qualified, winning head coaches around the league.
Doesn't matter.
I'm looking at the successful examples, not the failures like a Freddie Kitchens. All right? He reminds me more of Freddie Kitchens right now than he does of any winning head coach.
Dan Campbell.
All I'm asking is a very simple question. I'm not judging Dan Campbell right now. I'm actually not. If you would just listen for a second. Show me around the league a successful, seriously taken head coach and an organization that has somebody in that position acting this way. I'm just asking. I'm not casting anything on Dan Campbell. I'm not criticizing him for anything. All I'm asking is find me the example. That's all I'm looking for here.
Okay. Question answered, there isn't. But let me answer this question by telling you this. He doesn't have to win football games by himself. It's not Dan Campbell.
I'm not asking him to.
Okay. You're saying strictly because of his...
You keep dodging my question. This is why I'm getting frustrated with you. Answer my question. Go find me a serious...
No one!
Right,
no
thank
one!
You. Thank you.
I just answered it.
Thank you.
4 times, 5 times.
Perfect.
No one.
Well, it's Pete Carroll in the beginning.
I tried comparing Pete Carroll. I didn't say it was Pete Carroll. I'm just saying nobody. No one compares to Dan Campbell.
Well, this is my point.
This is my point. No one compares to Dan Campbell. So the fact that you keep repeating yourself with the same exact thing, I feel like I'm listening to a broken record. Name another coach who does. No one. Move on. We're over that. The next question is, why does he do this, and will it translate to wins? We don't know. It's 2 games into his career.
I'm not judging it based on the wins.
So who cares about the antics?
I care.
If he starts winning games, you won't even remember
the history of the NFL. I'm going over the last 30 years, and I can't find one single head coach that is actually successful, has won divisions, won NFC championships game, multiple playoff games, won a Super Bowl that acts like this. That's it. All I'm asking a very simple question. I'm not here to get Dan Campbell fired today. I want him around for the next 3 years. I want to see him develop and prove himself to be a very good head coach, ideally in this league. That'd be a great thing for the Lions. The point is, the way he's acting is something I'm not seeing in any other organization that you actually take seriously, and then going into the season, you're actually considering them contenders. You can call it premature. You can say whatever you want. I'm asking a very simple question this morning. I'm not here trying to get Dan Campbell fired. There's a big difference.
We heard you. And we heard the question, and I answered it. And you keep repeating the same exact thing.
You keep changing your answer, but regardless.
Okay.
Kennedy, how do you feel about Dan Campbell?
I like him, and I don't care what anyone says. I think he's fun. I hated the fact that stupid Fatty Matty took the cornhole boards and the whatever it's called, the foosball tables out of the Lions facility. Why does it have to be all work and no play, you know?
It's not about that. Again,
no, let me finish.
Go ahead.
Teams should have time to bond and be friends. It makes you play better if there's chemistry there. So they deserve to have these things as well as
you guys aren't listening.
Practice seriously.
This is not what I'm bringing up. I'm talking about your head coach of your football team.
It was his decision to bring those things back.
Great. Go find me a head coach of any football team right now you take serious in the NFL that is applying that strategy and those tactics. Nobody.
Hasn't been done yet.
So we're going to go on the anomaly. Dan Campbell is the anomaly. That's what we're hedging our bets on.
We don't know.
This is the point I'm trying to make, though.
This is the point I'm trying to make.
It's not.
You're prematurely judging pointless antics.
I'm not judging his antics. I'm questioning them. There's a big difference.
Questioning.
Me judging his antics would be like, Dan Campbell, get out of town.
What's the point of questioning?
He's already a bum.
Is it because he drinks venti coffee we won't win football games? Is it because he drinks venti coffee we won't win football games?
No.
Is it because he holds his eyes open we won't win football games?
You're not listening. You're just yelling. You're not listening. I didn't say his antics are the reason why they're losing football games right now.
So who cares?
I'm asking a very simple question, Jeff. I'm asking it, and you keep saying you're answering it, and then you deviate, and you keep making these points that are irrelevant right now to this conversation.
No one cares if he's opening his eyes at a press conference if we're winning football games.
That's fine. You guys
no
don't
one
care.
cares.
That's
you're over here, man, my coach drinks venti coffee.
I wish I talked like
usually
that.
coaches don't do that.
Yeah, I wish I talked
If they're
like that.
winning games, who cares?
Okay, all
Absolutely nobody. Move on.
Okay, we'll move on. I feel like I need like a whistle or a flag or like something to get you guys to stop, but it's fine. I like the fire from you.
For Adam's mouth.
Yeah, that too.
That's what we need. Shut him up.
That was good, Jeff. That was good. All right, so coming up next, we're going to talk about somebody that makes all of us Lions fans happy, and that's TJ Hockenson. So stick around for that. There should be less scary fire around the building, you know. Okay, so stick around for that, but before we go, we need to hear from Lady Jane's.
Well, listen, if you want hair like Adam, beautiful hair, and listen, go to Lady Jane's. Guys, let's be honest. We like simple stuff. We like football, preferably 5 days a week. We like things uncomplicated. And like Lady Jane's haircuts for men, you walk in, you sign in, you sit down, and before you know it, you're handsome and clean. You get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime because, guys, it's wicked awesome.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Welcome back, everyone. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here. The guys have calmed down. Don't worry. We're still alive. Fish is still in his booth, alive and well. No worries here. All right, moving on to TJ Hawkinson. So, some friends over at ESPN, Field Yates and Matthew Berry, have ascended our guy, TJ Hockenson, into their top 3 tight ends, which, thank goodness, finally getting the clout that this man deserves. I want to know what you think about it, Jeff. Is he in your top 3?
As of right now, yes, he's playing like it. He's playing better than George Kittle, who I had in my top 3. So, listen, TJ Hockenson, he is, been just spectacular. And his, 2 games with the Detroit Lions, him upping his role. I mean, there are no wide receiver. TJ Hockenson is pretty much your wide receiver, and he's handled it perfectly. 2 games, we've seen top 3 tight end play. If Kittle stays like this, he's going to take to at least half the season, 1 or 2 more games to really start clicking. TJ's already going to be ahead of him. He's already playing well right now. Almost had 100 yards, I believe, close to it in his first game. 60, 70 yards in his second game. Scoring touchdowns pretty much every single game. While Kyle Shanahan's trying to get George Kittle back on track, TJ Hawkinson's already there. He's playing great football. And Jared Goff, the repertoire between him and Jared Goff is special. And I think he's only going to – honestly, I see 1,000 yards this year for TJ Hockenson. I think it's more than likely possible. And if he does that, gets over, 1,100 yards, handful of touchdowns, I think you put him in that top 3 category, especially if Kittle stays – in this slump. I mean, I don't see how, unless Kittle absolutely has a monster second half of the year, that he can surpass TJ. I think TJ just has too much of a workload. George Kittle has Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, who's still waking up, and they have the run game. With the Detroit Lions, it's TJ Hockenson. If Tyrell Williams is out, it's TJ Hockenson. I mean, even if you have Tyrell in there, it's TJ Hockenson. So I see TJ Hockenson staying at a top 3 tight end. I absolutely love the man, and I think he's great for the Detroit Lions because you want him here when the franchise is seeing success. So, yes, to answer the question, right now he is in my top 3 as a tight end.
All right, fair enough. I think he's number 3 right now. I have Travis Kelce and Darren Waller ahead of him. Kittle, obviously, a slow start to the season, but the Niners really haven't been dynamic passing the football yet outside of against the Lions.
Yep.
Week 2 against Philly, they weren't really all that great. So, yeah, I'm okay with Hockenson being 3. I think Mark Andrews and George Kittle still need to be in that conversation. You can debate all you want. You want to say top 5, it's probably the easy answer for Hockenson. But his first 2 games, he had a touchdown in both games. 100 yards, almost 100 yards in the first game. And then, 60, 80 yards last night or Monday night. So there was a lot of positives so far to start the year for TJ Hockenson. Something we haven't seen from him is consistency over the course of the entire season. Will we get that this year? Ideally, I think that's what will make him elite. Right now, he's very good. He's borderline elite. But you can't be elite until you play and you deliver on a consistent basis for an entire year, 2, 3 years. That's what Travis Kelce has done. That's what Gronk used to do. Tony Gonzalez, all these great tight ends, they've done it over time. Darren Waller has done it for 3 straight years now. He's really coming into his own. Hockenson, this is really his first year where we're looking at him like, all right, can you do it? And if he continues what he's doing now, by the end of the year, he will be considered one of the game's premier elite tight ends. He'll be in the Travis Kelce, Darren Waller conversation for sure. Mark Andrews, I think he's underrated. I think he's underappreciated given the system he plays in with Lamar as his quarterback. They're so run heavy, but
underutilized.
He's so dynamic.
Yeah.
But he's accurately utilized because they pick their moments to use him, and it really throws off the defense. They're not going into the game like, we need to target Andrews 10 times. Like, no, we're going to run the ball, and if we see something we like, we're going to target Andrews on display. And it's basically RPO all day. So I'm happy with Hockenson. Great start to the year. Honestly, a guy you got to talk about as one of the top tight ends to start the year is Rob Gronkowski.
Which is crazy.
Who would have figured? Like, what are your takeaways with Rob at this age performing really and almost like he's in his prime again? It's unbelievable.
It's crazy how much like a connection between a guy like Tom Brady and Gronk can do. If you have a connection like that, it's ageless. I mean, Tom's 44, Gronk's in his 30s, and they look like they're in their 20s. I mean, they're playing great. Gronk looks like Gronk. I saw the viral clip of Gronk when he was like, I don't really watch a lot of film. Tom watches all the film for me. He just goes out there and runs routes, and it pays off for him. But yeah, Gronk's definitely in that conversation. It's got to be that top 5. I would say Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, TJ Hockenson. I would put George Kittle 4th, and then Mark Andrews fifth. I think Mark Andrews hasn't been doing much, but I think just out of respect. But Kyle Pitts is someone that I had high on my list, and he hasn't woken up yet at all. So I'm waiting.
Speaking of people who haven't woken up yet, we have some idiots in the chat. It's kind of impressive.
God.
Usually, when you go across social media, you run into a few idiots. You're like, all right, that's not the majority of the population. There's no way this country could be that dumb. And here we are. We have GWOPS. I don't know, GWOP S. Adam will find something negative to say if the Lions went 17-0. Really? How dumb are you? How dumb are you? You really think that?
You might.
You really think? No, I'm not. I might not, actually. It's actually ridiculous. The problem with a lot of the narratives here is you guys aren't listening enough. And to go back to TJ Hockenson, who, we both agree, top 3 tight end right now?
Yes, right now, yeah. He's playing like it.
His ceiling, if you're comparing it to anybody in the league, it's got to be Travis Kelce. That's ideally what he turns into. The guy that's getting you over 1,300 yards a year. He's lethal, and the moment that you supply him with a wide receiver one, well, you've just created matchup nightmares for the defense. It basically becomes impossible to double them throughout the whole game, which means you pick your moments correctly. You're either going to find your wide receiver one on one-on-one coverage on the sideline deep, or you're going to find your tight end one-on-one deep. It's a great thing to have. We see how it works so well in Kansas City, and I think that's what Vegas were trying to do, but they kind of reached for Henry Ruggs. But they were thinking, like, Henry Ruggs, he could be our Tyreek Hill, and then Darren Waller, our Travis Kelce, and we build around that. It hasn't worked so far, but if you take anything away from last game for the Las Vegas Raiders, Henry Ruggs did beat them deep, and that's kind of what you want to see from Henry Ruggs all the time. It's those big making plays. TJ Hockenson, great tight end. Great tight end, worthy of the number 8 overall pick at the time.
Yes. Yep.
I think the best pick to come out of that draft class. Not from the class in general, but from the Lions draft class that year. There's nothing negative you can say about TJ Hockenson outside of his decision making. He needs to stop jumping. He needs to stop trying to leap over people. That's how he got a concussion his first year. I'm not sure what he's thinking. He's 6'4", 6'5", 240, 230 pounds. You can just bulldoze people, my friend. They're cornerbacks trying to tackle you. Safeties trying to tackle you. For God's sake, stop trying to jump over them. Lower your shoulder and avoid the hit. Avoid the fall on your head. Nobody wants to see it. If you go down, this franchise goes down with you. It's pretty simple. I'm not joking.
No,
he is their only offensive weapon outside of maybe DeAndre Swift that you can build around for your future.
Yeah.
You cannot afford to lose TJ Hockenson.
But and you're absolutely right there. But to speak to your point on TJ Hawkinson as a player, I think his development since his rookie year has been very impressive. I mean, you saw the rookie year, 300 yards, increased the year after, and now this year. Just in general, even going back to Iowa, he never really had any drops and didn't have a drop in college. Coming into the league, he catches pretty much everything in his radius, in his area code. So I love TJ because I like the Travis Kelce comparison. I think the only thing that separates them is obviously, and you're aware of this, is just Kelce's supreme route running abilities. I think TJ has an opportunity to develop that, turn it, have feet like a wide receiver. Obviously, he's got hands like a tight end. He could block. He could do all that. But if he develops that route running ability, get shifty, and have linebackers, shaking out their cleats, guy's going to be deadly, man. He's going to get 1,300 to 1,400 yards just like Kelce. He's a dangerous weapon for the Detroit Lions. And TJ's easily in that top 3 right now. Hopefully he stays there by the end of this year. That's the goal.
Kennedy, your thoughts on TJ Hockenson? I know you have a crush on him.
I don't know why you guys always say that.
This is the rumor surrounding and going around the building.
Needs to stop. I like TJ Hockenson as a player. I would even go as far to say as I love TJ Hockenson as a player. He's absolutely fabulous, one of the best that we have, quite clearly. But he is not my type, people. And Adam, of all people, knows my type. He told me the other day. So
I think TJ Hockenson is your type.
You're on crack. I
100%.
don't like
He's got that country style. I'm going to let my hair flow. And the fact that you call him totally fabulous or whatever you said, what was it? You said very fabulous or?
I don't even know.
I don't even know what you said, but it was funny to hear.
Because he doesn't listen, people. He didn't know what I said because he doesn't listen.
Mr. 10-7 himself.
Mr. 10-7 himself. I like that.
Fish, Mr. Fish, I have a question for you, buddy. Are you impressed with TJ Hockenson so far this year? I'm assuming you're going to tell me yes, but tell me kind of what your thoughts on TJ as a player, how he's developed over these last 2.5 seasons.
He's looked better. I mean, there's only been 2 games played, but he's looked better than he has in the past, and I've just liked seeing the growth of him. He He played pretty good against the Packers. He also played pretty good against the 49ers. You were very wowed at him in both of those games. So I've just enjoyed seeing him be him and just, get open, catch the ball. Goff's been throwing to him a lot, so that's good news. He hasn't been trying to find other people to throw to. If he's open, he's just dishing him off the ball instead of looking for other people that are open to try to, build a connection with other people. So at least he's finding the one guy he can throw to and throwing to him instead of saying, "Oh, I've already thrown to you. I got to throw to other people."
Right.
Because some quarterbacks do that and it annoys me and probably everyone else too.
TJ Hockenson, man, he doesn't drop a lot of balls, Fish. And if the Lions could go 10-7, not this year, but eventually, you want TJ Hockenson over there right with you. We can mutually agree on that.
Yeah, you don't want him getting injured, and I get your point. You don't want him jumping over people, but hey, if there's an opportunity to jump over people and you feel like you can do it, go for it. I mean, that's not my job to stop you from jumping over people. I mean, they do it all the time, and if he gets injured, he gets injured. He knows the risk. He's not going, I'm just going to jump over him. He knows the risk of, if I, fall on my left ankle and twist it, or if I hit some other guys that I'm jumping over his knee or whatever. So he knows the risk of jumping over people, but look, he made it on clips. I mean, people were putting it on social media and saying, "Oh, look at TJ Hockenson." Boop, 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 boop. He's given the Lions recognition more than they had already from being on Monday Night Football, so that's good news.
Well said, Fish.
True,
can I ask why you're smiling at him?
He's giving you a thumbs up. He's being nice for once. Let it happen.
No, I'm appreciative. I just don't understand why he's smiling. I was expecting a remark of something like, "I'm an idiot. They're not going to go 10-7."
You can't be mad when you're talking TJ Hockenson. You just can't. He's great. All right. Well, coming up, I promise you that Adam will get upset. How about that? I'll leave it at that. Stick around for that. He is ready for this one. He prepped a little last night. I gave him a little heads up about this next topic. Stick around. But before I upset Adam, he's got to tell you about his favorite people over at BetQL.
My goodness. They were 13-2 in the Week 1 NFL slate. They were 11-4 in the Week 2 NFL slate from Thursday to Sunday. I am loving using the BetQL app. I am loving it. Please, I can only implore you to use the code Woodward, WSN. You get 25% off any of their subscription packages. It is so worth it, especially if you're betting every day. This isn't for somebody who's only betting once a week, twice a week. But if you're betting, on a constant basis, you're betting the Monday, the Thursdays, the Sunday games, even Saturday college football. This app provides you with all the data and analytics you'll need to not only make the right decision, but the winning decision, the decisions that'll make you money, enough money where you're not even worried about a subscription to all of this data. This is the platform that I use. Head to the App Store or Google Play Store now to download BetQL, and remember, use code WSN. You'll get an additional 25% off any of their subscriptions. We'll see you right after the break.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
You like to win a custom-built chopper while helping our veterans at the same time?
Then watch as we turn this bike into a one-of-a-kind classic chopper.
Watch the Call Sam Chopper Shop on our social media channels and get your raffle ticket today at callsam.com/chopper shop.
Welcome back, everyone. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here. All right. It's time to upset our friend Adam. Listen, I quite frequently browse the Lions Reddit page, r/Detroit Lions, if you will. And if you don't know what Reddit is, you're probably a boomer, and I don't have the time to explain it to you. It's too much. Just know they call it the front page of the internet. You can find anything on Reddit. And I've been getting bored at night recently, and I've been adding myself to random Reddit pages. I'm currently on Ex-Mormons. That one is super interesting. So if you're looking for a good read, go to Ex-Mormons. Anyway, we're talking about r/Detroit Lions right now. And Adam, there are some nuts on Reddit. That's just how Reddit works. That's why it's the most entertaining place to be on the internet. Besides Woodward Sports, obviously. But there are Lions fans that are just making excuses for the Green Bay game on Monday. So I want to get your take on what this person said. This comes from you, which stands for user, /DEI after. DEI after. I don't know. Okay. He says, perspective is what he captions his post. Okay, so we didn't have our number 1 wide receiver, Tyrell Williams, right? And we didn't have our number 1 cornerback, Jeff Okudah, second year, right? And we lost our number 2 cornerback, Afitu Melifonwu, rookie and halftime, basically, right? At halftime. So we're left with 4 cornerbacks with a total of 3 years, and that's when Rodgers went on fire. And we're mad about it. The media wants to say Rodgers got back on track against the youngest secondary in the league. And we got more pressure on Rodgers than all of the Patricia era combined. Response.
All right, let me start with the Aaron Rodgers comment.
Just let Adam take
because
this.
he's actually right about the Aaron Rodgers comment. He got back on track against the youngest and probably the worst secondary in the NFL. It's not much of an accomplishment, especially for somebody of Aaron Rodgers' ability. Moving on. I love that you labeled Tyrell Williams as your number 1, Jeff Okudah as your number 1, as if they're actually any good.
Right.
It's impressive.
Right.
Like the validity and the hey, this guy was being serious. Like, man, we were missing Tyrell Williams, Adam. We were missing Tyrell Williams. We were missing Jeff Okudah. If he went down, these are that's a second-year rookie corner and a rookie corner. And then Tyrell Williams, a guy whose inability to stay on the field. Oh, what do you know? He missed the game because he was injured. What do you know, Detroit? What is wrong with people? Jeff, help me.
Hey, I will say this to my man. It was a great thing he typed out. He had a great argument. All right.
Oh, it keeps going.
But no, I don't want to read any more of that. It's BS. But listen, what I will say is this: Tyrell Williams and Jeff Okudah were there week 1. They were there week 1. Tyrell didn't do anything. Jeff didn't do anything. I'm sorry. It's just the facts. 2 things can be true. You can miss those players. You can miss your number 1 corner, Jeff Okudah. You can miss your number 1 wide receiver. The fact is, Aaron Rodgers was piecing us up no matter what. If he had some good plays, his injury you don't want to see. You don't want to see injuries to your players. Well, we can all agree on that mutually. But no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm a Detroit Lions fan. I'm willing to make arguments and excuses in the right way, but this is a horrible way to. I mean, come on, really. We're pulling at strings at this point, pulling at straws, whatever you want to call it. Like, Tyrell Williams and Jeff Okudah is not going to change the results. We lost by over 2 touchdowns. It's over. We were losing regardless. We're not a very good football team at this moment. So I'm willing to just die on that hill.
Kennedy, are there more comments like this?
Listen,
Please
Jeff,
continue.
I know you don't want to hear more,
Please
but
continue.
I have to keep going. It's the same post.
Okay.
This post is very, very long. And these might be my favorite. This might be my favorite part. I understand we lost a bit of talent with the Goffard and staff trade. Goff made 2 big mistakes with the fumble and the pick. The fumble was a wet ball. But he is a professional, and that's below expectations. But even those things happen. Brady, Peyton, Eli, Big Ben, even Joe Montana have fumbled a snap or 2 in their careers.
Yep.
Let's just not make it a bad habit.
Mm-hmm.
The pick was just forced. It was one bad decision when he tried to force a play in the game. The 4th down try was a bad call. That's not on Goff. I admire he wanted to be aggressive, but I think a run play would have been a better call, not a pass. We were very competitive for that game. Only 3 bad plays and injuries resulted in depleting our secondary.
Yep, 3 bad plays is why they just ran up the score 21-0 in the
Adam,
second
if
half.
those 3 plays don't happen, you're net. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, they win the game.
Fish, we don't need Fish. Is this your all?
Common
Are you
sense.
writing these comments, Fish?
Maybe, possibly.
You and are writing these comments. That's the only logical explanation for it. Because, my God, I'm more surprised, Adam, that people actually go on Reddit and are able to write a paragraph on their opinion. I get you can write your opinion, but and have the balls to write these things.
Well, because they don't care.
Well, that's a good point.
I want to know how people are allowed to live on the internet and say these things.
Because they think it's
I can't
real.
sit up here and ask a very simple question about Dan Campbell and his antics and how they translate in the NFL. Like, how do we live in a world where one person says one thing and it's acceptable, but another person asks a very similar question and kind of defends it, and it's, oh my goodness,
Who's
Adam.
acceptable? That's not acceptable.
I mean, parts of it is acceptable. I'm okay with some of the stuff he says, but Jared Goff, no, is not a good quarterback. He didn't look great. I'm not sure what great. He had a great moment. It was the pass to TJ Hockenson. That was a dime. But reality check, you're an NFL quarterback. Last I checked, NFL quarterbacks make those throws. He's not doing anything out of the ordinary. He made an end zone fade throw. Congratulations. Do you want a cupcake? This is your quarterback? He's not my quarterback. He's gone after 2 years. And I'm so confident that he will be gone in 2 years. But the fact that we have to sit up here for the next 2 seasons and even entertain that Jared Goff is a viable option here in Detroit, we're sadly mistaken. If you couldn't put a winning roster around Matthew Stafford, you think you're going to pull it off with Jared Goff? Kid yourself. Humor me. Humble yourself a little bit. It's not going to happen. It just isn't going to happen. Jared Goff has limitations, just like Baker Mayfield, just like Ryan Tannehill, just like Kirk Cousins. And you're not going to win the big games unless you overcompensate with roster talent and head coaching. And I'm sorry, last I checked, the roster definitely not overwhelmingly talented, won't be for a few years, and then your head coach, last I checked, he wasn't the second coming of Moses. So where are we going here? Kennedy, help me out.
Here's where we're going. This is what he likes about the Lions, okay? We have a dominant O-line. We have a freaking run game. We haven't had a run game in decades. Our D-line is getting pressure. I didn't like Flowers under Patricia, but I like him now. Everyone needs to breathe and believe. Maybe this is Art's burner account.
Breathe and believe. That is
sounds like Art.
Smith is responsible.
This is Art Smith.
Art Smith and all the idiots back there that actually think the Lions are winning 7, 8, 9, 10 games are back there
Adam,
saying
maybe
this
you
kind of
should
stuff.
breathe and believe.
Breathe and believe.
That would solve a lot of your problems.
I don't need to breathe or believe. Believe me, it's so clear to me. I wish you could just listen and understand how I'm telling it. I'm telling it how it is. And the fact that people aren't accepting it is so frustrating.
Okay, let me get your take on the last part.
We agree with you.
Rodgers dropped 2 dimes, and Jones popped off. Both of these things happened after the half where we lost our number 2 cornerback. I'm not confused by thinking we're a top 10 team. Wait, Adam. But based on these 2 games, I think we can be a fair discussion for 15. Your thoughts?
Oh my God, that is awful. That's awful.
This is all the same
This
deal.
is a top 15 team. Do you want to start, Jeff? Go ahead.
Yes, because I want to clarify this. Listen, I don't know who these Lions fans are, a category of their own. Listen, I love Lions fans. Some of them a little delusional, I will admit. There's guys out there and the ladies that believe that this team has any chance to be successful. And just like that, if he was in the game, Okudah prior versus Deebo Samuel got absolutely torched. Absolutely torched. You cannot make the injury excuse. I'm sorry. This isn't a Jalen Ramsey being out. This isn't a Denzel Ward being out. This is Jeff Okudah being out. And Tyrell Williams. This isn't anybody else. A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf. This isn't those guys going out. This is Tyrell Williams.
If people in the chat couldn't get any dumber, we lost because Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT. First of all, that's wrong. He's not the GOAT. Secondly, the problem is people compare Stafford to Rodgers. I don't know anybody that's comparing Aaron Rodgers to Matthew Stafford or vice versa.
I don't know that either.
So you're 0 for 2 in your comments today, bud. But to answer this guy in the Reddit thread, top 10 team. You thought going in they would be a top 10 team.
That's ridiculous.
And now, because they lost the first 2 games.
He didn't think that. He said top 15.
That's why they want to
he said 10 first and then 15.
It's ridiculous.
What are we doing? Look, I want this team to be more successful than you know it. Believe me. But it ain't this year, and it definitely isn't next year. So do yourselves a favor and stop with this. Support the team. I told you before the season, before we ever had a down, before Dan Campbell ever called a play, I told you, look for Dan Campbell to improve as a head coach. Look for the individual young players to improve. That way you have something to build around. Look for Hockenson to take the next step. And look for the O-line and the run game to really look good throughout the year. What's so hard about that? What is so hard about that? Can somebody explain to me? You can't. Because some people are just delusional and they don't accept life or reality. And that's why they're going to stay in the same position they've always been in. And that's why the Lions for the last 6 years have always been losers, because they have this type of mentality. And hopefully that changes with this new front office and this head coach, and it blossoms into a great project. But you have a lot to overcome, and it ain't easy. And you're not going to do it thinking that way. Kennedy?
Well, I just want to give a big shout out to DAfter, who wrote this amazing post labeled Perspective. If you want to look it up yourself on Reddit, shout out to you for this awesome content. Coming up next, we've got Fish's Facts, so you don't want to miss that. Make sure you stick around. But before we go, I need to hear about our friends over at Levels.
All right, Levels, guys, it's open in Centerline. It is the premier cannabis dispensary. Starting right now, you can get 10% off mentioning Woodward Sports when you visit one of their stores. Everything from T Grizzly's Gas to D-Max Special Strain and edibles, all on sale now. And don't forget to download the Enjoy Levels app and start saving today. It is available on the iOS and Android store.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. With historically low interest rates and 5-star service, you could pay your mortgage off faster without increasing your monthly payment. Get started now at 248-308-5000 or chat with us online. Call hallfirst.com.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Is it time?
Yeah, it is.
Fish!
Go fish.
Fish facts.
It's fish!
Alrighty, today is a very happy day. It is Wednesday. We're midway through the week. We have football tonight, everybody. Very excited about that. So that'll be fun to watch tonight. You guys won't watch it because you don't care, which is sad. But, hey, it's called life, and you just, expect disappointment sometimes, periodically here and there. So we go out to this place. That is Suriname, where you guys probably were not watching yesterday. We go out to Suriname, which is by Brazil, where they played a soccer game yesterday. And this is where we go to the video/picture. We go out to this guy. He is the vice president of Suriname. 60-year-old Ronnie Brunswick played 54 minutes in a 6-0 CONCACAF League defeat at home to Olympia, which is a team in Honduras. The game was played in the stadium named after him, the Ronnie Brunswick Stadion. And he captained the side he owns on the night. So he owns the team. So he's the vice president of the country. He owns the team. That's his stadium. He's 60 years old, and he's out there playing 54 minutes, which fair play to him. I mean, 54 minutes playing.
So, let me just get this straight, Fish.
His team got drilled.
So, what's his name again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear his full name.
Ronnie Brunswick.
So, Ronnie Brunswick. So, Ronnie Brunswick is the vice president
of the country.
Okay, of the country, and he's owner of the team.
Owner of the team.
And he asserts himself into the game at 60. And pretty much no one can say anything. He's the owner.
He's the captain of the team.
Did he play well? Do you know if he was a shell?
Well, they didn't score a goal, so I would assume the answer is no.
All right, let me address Ronnie.
They lost 6-0.
Let me address Ronnie Brunswick.
Not very good.
All right, this is like Mark Cuban saying, "Listen, I own the Dallas Mavericks. I think I'm going to suit up at point guard."
And by the way, the stadium's named after him too.
Okay, this guy's ego is the biggest ego I've ever seen in my life. I
would do the same thing. I don't see the problem here.
Yeah, of course you would.
If you owned a team and you could get out there and play because it's irrelevant, you wouldn't?
Even though it's like Adam. Okay, let's say you own the Detroit Lions, all right?
I wouldn't be the GM or the head coach.
Oh, my God. Okay, let's say you own a soccer team, okay?
Yeah, it's different.
You're going to put yourself into the game, even though, let's say, you're not a very good soccer player. The stadium's named after you.
When I have $2 billion, I can do whatever I want. So.
Okay, you're not wrong. But still,
I'm just saying. I don't hate on it.
If
Why not?
If I was a teammate, I'd be like, come on, dude. Why is this guy captain? I've been here for 5-6 years. I deserve captain. You got Mr. Brunswick.
You've been here for 5 years. He's got about 15 figures in his bank account, so there's a big difference. Who cares about your captain? Go ahead, Fish.
I don't know what to say to that.
Brunswick robbed a lot of people there.
No, I can't really. I mean, he owns the team. He's the captain. The stadium's named after him.
Big old ego.
They got drilled 6-0. So what are you gonna do?
It's not working, obviously.
No, it's not working. Now I don't know if he plays every game. I'm assuming he at least played because he was there for 54 minutes. I'm assuming the coach is not a ding-ding. Although if you take him off, he might fire you, I guess, since he's the owner too and the vice president. So he could deport you. Oh my goodness. We go to the facts. And we start with Kevin Guzman. He allowed 3 home runs on a splitter. So that's one pitch, the splitter. The most in a game of his career on that pitch. Only other 2 times, he only allowed 2 home runs on the splitter in a game. Ben Zobrist and Wilson Contreras back in 2017, and Alex Rodriguez and Mark Teixeira in 2015.
Yikes.
So he's throwing a splitter, and they're still hitting the splitter, which is not good news.
No, it's not. It's not good news.
That's where you should go to your other 2 or 3 pitches that he has.
It's not working.
It's not working. And speaking of working, we have fastest pitches by a Giants pitcher since the pitch track era in 2008. Brian Wilson back in 2009 with 102.9 miles per hour to Jason Kendall. Last night, it was Camilo Doval to Manny Machado, the guy who was fighting Tatis earlier in the week, at 102.5 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's incredibly fast. And I know you've seen that video, Fish, Machado and Fernando.
I've seen it several times. And if they hit the ball, they're probably hitting that same percentage at him, too. Imagine if that comes back at you at the same speed. You got to have a lot of quickness.
Imagine being in that crowd, getting hit in the face with a 100-mile-per-hour baseball, over 100 mile per hour.
Well, the problem is they have nets everywhere. So that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, that is a discussion.
Soon they're going to have nets in the home run area, too.
God. Screw that.
I mean, I get, balls, bats coming. You don't want people to get hit. But still, I mean, there's...
Bombs away.
I mean...
Look out.
Yeah. They do. If you sit in row 1, they have a sign up there that says, watch out for balls and bats.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
It's not their fault you're drinking your beer, getting hit in the face with a ball. You know
yeah, it's not. It's not your fault that you're on your phone, boom, hits you in the glasses. There's been several videos of that. Speaking of home runs, and they do not have a net in the home run area. Hopefully they will never. We have some leaders this year in home runs. Guerrero, 46 home runs. Previous high was 15. Perez, 46. Ohtani, 45. His previous career high was 22. This is the first time in MLB history that all three players who had never previously had 30 home run seasons all hit 45 home runs in the same season. Or in the same year.
Career highs, man. This is what it's turning into. I want to see where Guerrero is on the Triple Crown. I know like a couple weeks ago we were talking about he's still in that conversation. I haven't been checking the statistics, but
I think he has about 44 home runs, so he's up there too.
Yeah, good for him, man.
They're all up there, and today is the 22nd of September. By the way, fall is not officially starting. It starts at 3:40 p.m. Eastern time, so you can still keep your.
Everyone.
Well, I didn't mislead them. I mean, they always say it starts at a certain time. I don't know why. It's like when the sun hits a certain point or the moon or whatever. Anyway, it starts at 3:40 p.m., so keep your summer gear on for the next, what do we got, about 7.25 hours. We got birthdays today, and you guys probably know this guy. He was a manager for a long time. We have baseball birthdays today. Tommy Lasorda, baseball manager for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He was a good manager. He led the Dodgers. I don't think he ever won a World Series, but he led them to several NLCS championships. And he's a good manager. I enjoyed watching him play.
Yeah.
And this guy, who Maz hates, it is not Jose Altuve. It's the other guy who may have been part of the cheating scandal, Carlos Correa.
Yep.
It is his birthday, so make sure you wish him happy birthday and not happy cheating day or whatever.
Everyone's wishing him happy birthday but Maz. And, a lot of other fans in the MLB.
Oh, I bet you Maz goes out to the Astros game for trash can.
You got Alex Anzalone's on there?
I do not.
We got to add Alex Anzalone. I think it's his birthday today.
It is.
As bad as his defense is, Fish, we need to wish him a
happy birthday to Alex Anzalone.
Raise his morale. Hopefully they play better. All right, that's what we want. Make him happy.
They good. Well, it's already
calling for another to get cut on his B-Day.
Yeah, it's already 9:57. He's not cut yet, so that's good news.
That is very good.
Hopefully he won't get cut by the end of the day. That would be
no, Fish.
Awful.
That he will not.
I don't know.
We're gonna have you playing linebacker if we cut him. I mean, that's how it is.
All right. Well, I will.
You'll suit up.
I mean, I'll suit up, but I'll be there for 1 second, and Dan Campbell will boop fire me.
Eat your kneecaps, Fish.
All right, people, you got your boop.
Kneecaps will be flying against the Ravens on Sunday. Adam, kneecaps flying across Ford Field at 0-2, which, by the way, 12% chance to make the playoffs. 12% of teams that start 0-2 make the playoffs, so we're heading there. We're heading there. And 1% make the Super Bowl, so we're in the right direction.
So you're saying there's a chance, Fish? There's a chance.
Yeah, there's a chance. I get a little angry that Art's already getting his tattoo ready. Why? They're 0-2.
Fish, it's not.
They're not 0-6.
From sports talk completely. If the Lions win the Super Bowl this year,
if they make the playoffs, let alone win the Super Bowl, if they make the playoffs from this standpoint, 0-2, I'll come up here and I'll say I'm wrong because I just don't believe it.
Well, they got 12%. They got 12% chance.
I have them at. Before the season even started, I said 6 games. I don't know if that's likely, but no playoff win.
All right, those are facts. We'll be back tomorrow for Thursday Night Football, the real football. You guys say real football. I'm watching tonight. But, yeah, you guys got football, Panthers, Texans, so enjoy it.
Thanks, Fishy. Good facts today. All right, before we go, I've got some fun things for you guys. If you don't have weekend plans, well, let me tell you what you should do. First, you should start off Friday night with our Friday Night Clash. Every Friday, we broadcast one of the best games in Metro Detroit on Woodward Sports, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This week's matchup is Belleville at Dearborn Fordson, so make sure you check that out at 9 p.m. right here on Woodward Sports. Now, if you have nothing to do, on Sunday, we've got our Lions pregame live broadcast. Woodward Sports DraftKings, Jose Cuervo, and Riff for the Lions pregame show with Braylon Edwards, Ryan Armani, Maz, and Jade from Riff, live from Tin Roof. It'll also be streamed on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We've got you covered. Sunday versus the Ravens. All right, and then if you have nothing to do after the game, we also have a Lions postgame show. Imagine that. Join Woodward Sports and Jim Beam at the Brass Rail downtown, starting live at the 2-minute warning of every Lions game with Stick. If you guys miss him, Lions postgame show covering all of the highlights and fan reactions. Check it out, Brass Rail at the 2-minute warning. All right, we've had so much fun today. See you tomorrow right here on Woodward Sports.